Why should I feel sour? I'm destined not to be anyone's wife, and since I can't satisfy your physiological needs, I can't exactly hog you without doing the deed, letting you suffocate to death. It's not necessarily true. You've said yourself that you're working on an antidote, and my cultivation is rising with the tide. One day, I'll be able to break through your demonic barrier. Lin Zaiasu took her small hand playfully, teasing her. Chang Yi sighed softly. Having aspirations is good, at least it gives us motivation to strive. But you're overlooking one problem. My gene rejection day is approaching, a day of rejection, a day of nirvana. By the time your cultivation catches up, my toxin will have evolved and you'll have to start chasing all over again. Anyway, I don't want to dampen your spirits. Tell me, why do you think Ding Lijang is not very likely? It's because of the person who died at their hands last night. Zhou Yibo. Yes, Lin Zaiasu said. I'm pondering a question. Zhou Yibo had his brains blown out on the spot and there was no chip in his head. This shows that what controlled him wasn't a chip but some kind of benefit given by someone else. What benefit could it be? Chang Yi mused. Usually it would be money, but as a scientist at Changsheng Group, he is not short of money. It's hard for money to sway him. Exactly. You've seen his physique too, a mere ordinary man. Even if he likes beautiful women, he probably can't handle much. So women probably can't sway him either. You might be lousy in actual combat when it comes to affairs of men and women, but your analytical judgment is quite sharp. Lin Zaiasu gave a thumbs up. Chang Yi rolled her eyes at him. People who are into scientific research have another weakness. That is, they always hope their value can be recognized. He probably wants to become the chief scientist of Changsheng Group. Lin Zaiasu said, so the question is, can Huang Chengwang make his dream come true? How about Ding Lijang, can he? A shock struck Chang Yi's heart. This was a topic that ordinary people wouldn't think of. Zhou Yibo was already Ding Lijang's right-hand man, with a high position in scientific research. Could Ding Lijang offer him a higher position? Obviously not unless he steps down. For talents like them, who are not short of money, who would risk their lives for you when money doesn't move them, and a higher position can't be offered. Unless someone painted him a big picture, take out Ding Lijang, and I'll let you sit in his position. That person can't be Ding Lijang himself. It could only be Li Changsheng, the chairman of Changsheng Group. With this legendary name, Lin Zaiasu did not confirm or deny, but simply smiled lightly. A provincial star enterprise, a rising company with countless mysterious aides, it's not easy to shake the owner of the house. If we were to issue a tender for this matter, I wonder what price Qianlong would be willing to pay. Chang Yi glared at him sideways. What price? Wasn't this just the last mission? We originally thought Snake Head was Huang Chengwang, but now after your analysis, I also feel that it was indeed too early for us to transfer the money. Let's wait until you find the real Snake Head before transferring the money, $10,000, you won't miss a penny. Lin Zaiasu looked at her stunned and slapped himself on the mouth. I'm really running off at the mouth. Why analyze it? Just taking the money and letting sleeping dogs lie would have been so much better. Chang Yi laughed with a snort. I can't stand your love of money. All right, I'll give you a new mission. If you complete it, I'll reward you with 500,000. How's that? 500,000. For those tycoons, it's just the cost of a bottle of wine, but for the Iron Rooster Qianlong, it's indeed an unprecedentedly generous offer. What level of mission? S level. Qianlong missions, with the highest level being SSS and the next level SS. S level belongs to the third tier of tasks. To ordinary people, it might not seem particularly difficult. Just the third tier then. However, Lin Zaiasu, having stayed in Area 101, knew what S-level missions meant. In Qianlong's dictionary, general murder cases don't catch their attention. Even cases with hundreds of people gruesomely killed are merely glanced at. A task that makes it onto Qianlong's mission list, even if it's C-level, is considered a tremendous issue in the eyes of ordinary people, not to mention a mission that jumps over A-level and lands straight at S-level. Let's hear it. What's the specific mission? Chang Yi whispered 5 words gently. Eliminate Huang Chengwang. Eliminate Huang Chengwang. Why the need for elimination? Because Qianlong had identified Huang Chengwang as the snake head. And every snake head must be executed. This is the iron rule of Qianlong. Why so resolute? Because Qianlong needs to deter forces, both domestic and foreign. You think you can leave Daxia with your hands stained with blood and just walk away? There's no such cheap deal. If you flee to the ends of the earth, Qianlong will still kill you. Only by doing this can they suppress the evil spirits within the nation. Moreover, Huang Chengwang indeed deserves to die. In the documented cases investigated so far, he personally silenced 37 genetic people, and each of these 37 people was responsible for at least 7 or 8 homicides, totaling up to nearly 1,000 innocent lives. These innocents lost their lives at the hands of Huang Chengwang, the real culprit. And this isn't merely about lives. Among these thousands there are many scientists, elite individuals from various fields, and even children. Due to this venomous serpent, Daxia's loss is immeasurable. For such a person, to not kill him would not appease public anger. To not kill him would not quell the world. Therefore, Qianlong issued a red kill order for Huang Chengwang, with the level set at S. The standard for S level is determined by considering the difficulty from various aspects. If Huang Chengwang was still in the country, the task would not be to kill him but to capture him, and the mission standard would be at most C level. However, he has fled, and to Fuseng country no less. Fuseng country is incredibly complicated. Although it's a small island country with a population of hundreds of millions and a highly advanced level of technology, its level of genetic transformation is more extreme than any other nation. As a result, executing missions there is extremely dangerous, and there is a special aspect. This island country has long been hostile to Daxia. Their secret elite forces are trained with Qianlong as their hypothetical adversary. They know Qianlong like the back of their hand. When Qianlong enters Fuseng, life and death are both uncertain. Chang Yi accepted this mission voluntarily. It was also a form of consideration from the organization. Why? Because amongst the people Huang Chengwang had killed, there was one who had a very special relationship with her, Taking. Chang Yi was an orphan, on the brink of death in the orphanage when Taking, holding an umbrella, approached her on a cold autumn rainy day. From that day on, Taking became like a real grandfather in Chang Yi's heart. Qianlong, although not advocating for its members to pursue private vendettas, allows it as long as it does not interfere with official duties and personal feelings can be respected. "All right, I'll accompany you," Lin Ziasu said. "Much appreciated." Chang Yi was quite happy. "With you, a super detective on the same path, my biggest problem is solved, finding the target in the vast sea of people." This was the real reason Chang Yi chose Lin Ziasu. With her skills, murder was never difficult. The real challenge was finding people. Huang Chengwang fled to Fuseng and disappeared into the teeming population of Fuseng country. Trying to find him was incredibly difficult. But who is Lin Ziasu? He is someone who could find a bird within 800 miles of emptiness. Lin Ziasu got out of the car and went back to the tea house where Ding Ryushui was sitting under the setting sun, cradling a cup of tea, lost in thought. As Lin Ziasu approached, Ding Ryushui seemed to awaken from a dream, turning her head abruptly and flashing him a brilliant, somewhat flirtatious smile. "Has your cousin left?" "Not yet, waiting to leave with me." Ding Ryushui appeared slightly disappointed. "You're really leaving?" "It's been a pleasure working with you, until next time." "Next time? Will you still charge me next time?" "Of course, in light of our pleasant collaboration this time, I won't raise my rates." Lin Ziasu waved goodbye. Ding Ryushui bit her lip. "You mean, if I want to take you to a movie, you'd still charge me $400,000? Good heavens, where is the justice in that?" Her voice was definitely not loud. But Lin Su could definitely hear it. Lin Su pretended not to hear. He got into Chang Yi's car. "Directly to the airport or..." Lin Ziasu's voice paused slightly. "What's wrong?" He noticed that Chang Yi was somewhat distracted. Chang Yi let out a soft breath. "There's been a new development." "What?" "Huang Chengwang took something with him when he fled, and it's no ordinary thing." "What?" Chang Yi said. "Put on the dragon eye, I'll share it with you to see." Lin Ziasu put on the dragon eye. An image appeared. It was a piece of purple stone with various parameters next to it. At the sight of these parameters, Lin Ziasu was startled. Clearly not from Earth, the parameters were outrageously abnormal. Of course, only those who, like them, had received professional training could understand these parameters. "Where did this come from?" "Lao Mountain," Chang Yi said. "This stone contains a mysterious energy. Huang Chengwang relied on it to make a breakthrough in neutrino research. Yesterday afternoon, when he was planning his escape, he didn't take anything with him but ran to the specialized lab and stole this stone. If this stone ends up in the hands of Fuseng country's scientific community, They might very likely make a breakthrough in neutrino technology and potentially take a shortcut in the communication field to overtake our country. So our mission now also includes bringing this stone back, right? Lin Zaiyasu said. To bring the stone back, it's not an S-level difficulty but SS level, because Huang Chengwang has already gifted the stone as a token of introduction to the Fuseng Royal Research Institute. Chang Yi sighed deeply. This traitor who betrays his country really deserves to die. Lin Zaiyasu said, SS level, does that mean the reward is doubled? Still thinking about money, Chang Yi glanced at him sideways. That's not our mission. Our makeshift team like this can't take on SS-level missions. There are specialized people in charge. With a press of the accelerator, they sped through the streets of Jiangcheng, heading straight for Xinhe Airport. Xinhe Airport, located on the east side of Jiangcheng City, 30 miles from the main urban area, is extremely grand. Entering the waiting hall, Chang Yi took out the prepared passport, ID card, and plane tickets. Lin Zaiyasu took the passport. The photo on it was indeed him, but the name read Su Ji, occupation, employee of a certain science and trade company in Fuseng, home address, Half Street Community, number 1003207, Taikyu Town, Ziyang County, Zhao Xiang Province. Lin Zaiyasu frowned slightly. Are the addresses this detailed? They all are. What if someone, with nothing better to do, adopts a stickler for detail and comes looking for me at this number 103? Won't it blow my cover? Don't worry if someone checks. There really is such a person at this address. However, outsiders don't know that he's already sacrificed himself, taking over the identity of a fallen comrade. Isn't this sacrilege? In the traditions of Qianlong, it's not called sacrilege. It's called continuing the will of a comrade in arms. Proceeding along the footsteps of the martyrs, we continue forward. Touched. Chapter 101. Chapter 101, a minor breakthrough for Chang Yi. Lin Zaiyasu couldn't speak anymore. An hour later, they boarded an international flight to Fuseng country. Lin Zaiyasu, making his debut in a foreign land. Another hour passed, it was completely dark, and the plane landed at Xidao Airport, already within Fuseng country. The time was 9 at night. Lin Zaiyasu stood at the airport exit, his eyes looking vacant and indifferent. The first phase of reverse time activated. He traced back to Huang Chengwang. Last night, close to 11 o'clock, he set foot on the soil of Fuseng country. Several black cars waited for him. Huang Chengwang got into one. There were a total of 5 cars, 2 in the front, 2 in the back, and he sat in the middle one. He spoke a few words with a white-haired, brisk Fuseng person sitting in the back. Judging from the movement of his lips, it was Fuseng language. This traitor can speak Fuseng language. Welcome, Huang sang, from darkness to light. That was what the white-haired person said. The domestic situation is not good. I can only come to your country. That was Huang Chengwang's reply. Then the car started. Lin Zaiyasu kept his left eye on reverse time, while his right eye returned to normal. He walked over to a cab and rapped on the window. Fluent Fuseng language spilled out effortlessly. Chang Yi felt a tremor in her heart. His Fuseng language was that fluent. When did he learn that? I recall from his file that from elementary to university, the foreign language he studied was English, yet his Fuseng language is so polished, on par with native Fuseng university students. Even the taxi driver mistook him for a local. Sir, did you go abroad? Just made a trip to Daxia. Lin Zaiyasu told Chang Yi to get in the car. Just take this road. Following Lin Zaiasu's directions, the driver left the airport and, of course, took the same road that Huang Chengwang had taken the night before. Midway through the drive, he caught on to the core part of last night's happenings. Huang Chengwang opened a bag. Inside was a glass container sealing a purple stone. The white-haired elder's face was filled with excitement, promising to ensure Huang Chengwang's safety. He personally took Huang Chengwang to an island on the edge of Xidao Island. Huang Chengwang was picked up by a boat and taken to the island, while the white-haired elder returned with the purple stone. Lin Zaiyasu spoke up, "Stop the car." Chang Yi paid for the ride. She hadn't spoken the entire journey, only made the payment. There was one reason for this. Lin Zaiyasu indeed didn't have any Fuseng currency on him. The taxi drove away into the distance. The sea breeze blew across the pitch-black night sky. Up ahead, the small island's lights twinkled in the dark. "You've come all this way, have you caught any leads?" Chang Yi asked softly. "Huang Chengwang is on that island," Lin Zaiyasu said. "But that island isn't ordinary. we need to first get a clear understanding of the military force layout on the island. In the darkness of night, it's easy to be discovered, Chang Yi said. We should find a hotel to stay in first. This is the tip of intelligent spying. In the imagination of most people, the night is a natural barrier. The best aid for spying intelligence is the night. However, it doesn't apply to all situations. For instance, in this foreign country, on this seemingly empty seaside, loitering around in the dead of night, anyone slightly sensitive would think these two people are not quite right. Humans are the best disguise. Wait until daylight when more people are around. Everyone is watching the scenery, and adding two more people wouldn't be conspicuous. At night, one should sleep if it's time for sleep. The two found a hotel, a seaside hotel that was not tall, merely a 3-story building. The pettiness of the Fusang people was evident in many aspects. The hotel looked small outside, even smaller inside. In the room, there was just a bathroom, a small viewing platform, and a double bed. Though it was a double bed, if someone were heavier and spread out more, sleeping 2 people on it might require certain overlaps. For the 2 of them, the size of the bed was not a concern. They could overlap as it was. Their last bird-catching trip had already broken through some kind of boundary between them. Chang Yi's rabbit, if it had any fur, would probably have been plucked bare by him by now. Chang Yi absolutely didn't resist such disorderly plucking. In fact, this kind of plucking ranked first in her list of approved activities. It posed the least risk and highest comfort, convenient for home and travel. Why is that? It depends on her special nature. Her lower parts currently are forbidden territory, closed off. Her lips too carry quite a risk. Only plucking the rabbit is safe and controllable. And so he plucked. As he plucked away, he found it hard to stop his hand. Comrade Little Sia's hand began to slide towards a certain place. Chang Yi, formerly enjoying herself comfortably, tensed up completely at the sudden move. What are you doing? The spirit of science is in exploration. Explore your head. Are you seeking death? I have to probe your boundaries to face your shackles directly. Only by facing the shackles can we think of ways to lift them. As a suffix to the quest for science, this argument seemed to hold some weight. Chang Yi did have shackles. If she couldn't lift the shackles, she would face many inconveniences. Her body's toxins were a weapon against enemies. Theoretically, the more terrifying the poison, the better. But that's a double-edged sword. While causing maximum damage to the enemy, it poses a greater danger to comrades nearby and to herself. Actually, there's also immense danger. At the moment, she seems to be functioning normally, as if the poison to her isn't a threat. But who knows if a fatal injury has already formed? Who knows if the poison demon is lurking in some critical part of her body, already bearing its fangs? This is the scientific basis for Lin Zaiasu to deeply engage with her most toxic parts. Chang Yi's mind was in turmoil. Scientific or not, she seemed to have ignored that in her heart. She was just a little more emotional than rational. So the principles started to retreat, said a bottom line only fingers, oh right, and monitoring. She rose and inserted a needle into Lin Zaiasu's arm. Then she watched the needle closely for any changes. The needle suddenly turned bright red. Chang Yi was so tense, her body was taut as a bowstring. What did this mean? Those who knew, knew. Time seemed to pass very slowly. Finally, the color of the needle slowly changed. It turned to a normal red. Then it turned yellow. Chang Yi let out a long sigh of relief. You little rascal, you scared me to death. In the following time, Chang Yi closed her eyes. The tense mindset slowly faded, replaced by a sort of most mysterious feeling. Finally, she trembled all over and clung to Lin Zaiasu, holding on very tightly. That's enough for today. We can't go deeper. Absolutely not. We're in the middle of a mission. Lin Zaiasu stopped. No matter how hard it was to stop, he probably could only stop. Because what Chang Yi said was true. They were on a mission in a foreign country. In case of a momentary impulse, doing something of great risk, it would be too much for this agent to fall in Fusang, failing before achieving success, even becoming a laughing stock for ages. In the latter part of the night, both concentrated on gathering energy, trying their best to control. This is a sequel of being playful. The next day, they took separate actions to spy on the enemy. Chang Yi had already changed her outfit, dressed up like an ordinary professional woman, and left the place. Before she left, she provided Lin Zaiasu with funds, Fusang currency. Lin Zaiasu stood in front of the bathroom mirror, quietly looking at his reflection. The person in the mirror looked quite handsome. Then a strange change occurred on his face. Beneath the skin, it seemed that there was a flow of true qi, and the skin rippled. After the ripples, his appearance became completely different. No one could have imagined such a spectacle. Qianlong agents stepping out with disguise technique are a must-have skill, and nearly every Qianlong member is proficient in it. But their disguise techniques come in two types. One is technology, and the other is psychology. What is the technology? Three-dimensional printed silicone masks, electronic components to change the voice. And psychology? The face does not change, only attire, hairstyle, and gait, to form a completely different temperament, deceiving the visual perception of others and the comprehensive senses formed by it. The last time Lin Zaiasu solved the 5.16 meter case, he used a psychological disguise technique. But today his disguise technique has transcended both scientific and psychological concepts, becoming something of metaphysics. Because he was changing his appearance using true qi. Can true qi be used to disguise? In the past, Lin Zaiasu couldn't do it, but now he could. Why? Because something not of this world had been added to his true qi. What is it? The primordial crystal of the Netherworld 9 Transformation Beast. What is the core foundation of the Netherworld 9 Transformation Beast? Transformation. It is a very strange creature from the otherworld, starting off as nothing but duckweed, seemingly not even an animal. But give it enough nutrients, and it can become an insect. From plant to animal, it completes a metamorphosis. And then it can transform into a white snake. And the white snake can become the crimson bird. What is the fifth transformation? The Sea Abyss scripture records it as a flying weasel. And what about the final ninth transformation? The Sea Abyss scripture does not record it, because even in the ancient world, no one knows what its ultimate form is. It starts as nothing, but with just 5 transformations it spans from water to land, from land to the sky. And even after the 5th transformation, it enters the legendary level, the flying weasel. There are things in the world that fly, and there are weasels, but a weasel-like creature that flies seems unheard of, a notion no one has seen with their own eyes, and Lin Zaiasu, regrettably, couldn't complete its 5th transformation before its premature end. So the premise to verify was lost, and in fact, Lin Zaiasu really dared not to verify. He had prematurely ended the Netherworld 9 Transformation Beast's path of transformation. But by crushing its primordial crystal, it seemed that some mysterious force had implanted the trait of transformation into his true qi. To a certain extent, he now possessed the divine skills of transformation. Lin Zaiasu left the hotel and headed toward the seashore. At this moment, he was completely another young man. There were many tourists by the sea, some locals from Fusang and some from Fusang's capital, East Square City. The sea view here was world famous. There were even some from Daxia. Although the two countries were sworn enemies, the surface peace of decades had given many people an illusion, and there was a fair amount of civil exchange. Lin Zaiasu came to a local fisherman and struck up a conversation in fluent Fusang language. "Uncle, are you local?" "Yes, where are you from, sir?" "I came over from Beidou Island yesterday." After some exchanges, Lin Zaiasu learned a lot. Chapter 102, Sudden Incident. Opposite was indeed a military island, garrisoned and on high alert, primarily against highland country up north. The second target was a college female student from Fusang. He wondered if his new face was somewhat handsome, or if it was his aura that seemed extraordinary, as the girl's eyes sparkled upon seeing him. With just a few words, Lin Zaiasu had the girl, Huizai, giggling with delight. "Huizai, shall we find a boat and have some fun at sea?" "Just the two of us?" "Yep." Huizai's cheeks flushed a little as she nodded lightly. "Okay." Just as a sweet journey in a foreign country was about to begin, they encountered trouble searching for a pleasure boat. Lin Zaiasu said they wanted to visit that island. The owner's face changed immediately, hurriedly refusing, explaining that the island was a military one and home to a branch of the Black Dragon Society. Visitors were not allowed to land there. Lin Zaiasu obtained the second piece of information. Black Dragon Society. A notorious syndicate in Fusang. Tightly connected with the military, their influence was profound and enigmatic, possessing a large number of genetic people. Unable to sail out, Huizai felt slightly disappointed. They switched plans, and she strolled around the shore with the sunny-looking gentleman. On the streets, they listened to Fusang melodies and drank Fusang sake. Talking about the local customs and cultures of Fusang, they also discussed life. His extensive knowledge captivated Huizai, her gaze growing increasingly bold. If Lin Zaiasu were to invite her into a hotel now, she probably wouldn't refuse. However, Lin Zaiasu did no such thing. He disappeared around a corner. Huizai roamed half the street, seemingly looking for him, but she would never guess that the middle-aged man who just passed by her was the man she was searching for. The man's clothes had also changed. He had taken off his shirt and now wore a t-shirt. In a single morning, Lin Zaiasu had adopted 3 different faces, walked 7 streets, visited 4 communities, and gathered a plethora of information about the island opposite them. Coupling this with the analysis from Dragon Eye, he had nearly wrapped up his intelligence analysis. As the sun set in the west, Lin Zaiasu laid eyes on Chang Yi. Chang Yi was still dressed as when she had left in the morning, happily chatting with a Fusang woman. Finally, the chat ended and Chang Yi started on her way back. Lin Zaiasu approached her, greeting, "Hi, beautiful," in Fusang language. Chang Yi looked through him as if at air. Lin Zaiasu said, "Interested in coming over to my place? My wife isn't home today." "Get lost," Chang Yi spat out the word. Brushing past him. In that brushing moment, Lin Zaiasu keenly sensed the chill emanating from her body. Suddenly, Chang Yi stopped and slowly turned around. Her eyes were fixed on his belt. "So beautiful you've changed your mind," Lin Zaiasu smiled. Chang Yi nodded lightly. "I just thought, my man at home isn't much good, there's no fun to be had with him, maybe we could have some fun together." "Damn it, I'm not good enough," Lin Zaiasu exclaimed. His exclamation, no longer in Fusang language, and his voice had changed. Chang Yi glanced at him. "Disguise technique, you could say, is perfect, but your belt and your trousers have given you away. The exposure isn't important, my reputation is. To say I'm not good enough." "Enough, enough. Whether you're capable or not, we can verify that back in Jiangcheng. Now, back to the hotel, analyze the intelligence," Chang Yi said. "Verify back in Jiangcheng." Lin Zaiasu was slightly startled. What was this about? The long-standing gap in his defenses, was it cracking? But anyway, like Chang Yi had said, now was the time to analyze intelligence. Entering the hotel, ensuring adequate security, they began to analyze. The island opposite was called Zhejuo Island. What did that mean? Nothing much, just a direct translation. On Zhejuo Island, there was a military force stationed, numbering over 1,000 soldiers. Their ostensible purpose was to guard against highland country, but that was not actually the case. The location was a research base. The military force was merely there to protect the research base. Apart from these soldiers, there was another force protecting it, the Black Dragon Society. Anyone who wanted to land on the island needed to go through the strictest of inspections. Under the waters surrounding the island, there was a protective net. Even fish as small as a fingertip could be clearly spotted if they slipped through. According to the combined analysis, breaching Zhejuo Island would require brute force. With their capability, they might be able to force their way in and sabotage the base, but killing Huang Chengwang inside would be extremely difficult. As slaughter commenced outside, the inside would be thoroughly alerted. Even if ordinary soldiers couldn't stop them, Huang Chengwang had 100 ways to escape or hide. What's more, there was the Black Dragon Society. The Black Dragon Society was never a soft target. At least a dozen Qianlong gold medal holders had died by their hands. "We need to lure the target out," Chang Yi said. "Got any good ideas?" Lin Zaiasu sat on the edge of the bed, fiddling with a teacup, looking out the window while his mind raced. Suddenly, Chang Yi stretched out her hand and revealed the Dragon Eye, and the moment she put on Dragon Eye, her expression changed completely. "What's the matter?" Chang Yi said, "Emergency military situation. Agent 65 has failed." Agent 65. The one carrying out the SS-grade mission. Waves of shock crashed in Lin Zaiasu's mind. This trip to Fusang is a journey of a double mission. They took one part to kill Huang Chengwang. The mission had an S-rank difficulty level. Others carried out another mission, to retrieve the purple stone that Huang Chengwang had taken away and given to the Fusang Royal Research Institute. That mission was SS rank. He had asked Chang Yi who would carry out the mission, but Chang Yi did not tell him. Now the result was out. It was Qianlong Agent 65. Among Qianlong agents, the lower the number, the stronger the capability. Number 65 was an existence even more formidable than 88. Yet he failed. The TV flickered on, showing CDAO News. The news was currently broadcasting a breaking story. On the rooftop of the Royal Research Institute, someone had jumped to their death. Preliminary judgment indicated that the individual had severe mental illness. That was the content of the news. The face of the person who jumped was broadcasted as well, mangled beyond recognition, but still vaguely identifiable as a young man, approximately 34 or 5 years of age. Chang Yi's face turned gloomy. "It's him." Lin Ziasu slowly spoke. They purposefully exposed his face to the world, branding him as mentally ill. The same piece of news, seen by different people, conveyed different messages. To the average person, this seemed like just another ordinary case of suicide by jumping from a building. But to those who were in the know, the news was filled with endless hidden meanings. For example, to the people of Qianlong, they knew that the person who died was Qianlong, Agent 65. The label of mental illness was a disdainful gesture toward Qianlong, telling them blatantly, "Your man was killed by us. In my eyes, he was nothing but a mentally ill clown." Yes, this is a declaration of war against Qianlong, an open insult to our warriors. Chang Yi's eyes blazed with cold light. "Then let me see how capable they really are," Lin Ziasu said. Chang Yi's gaze shifted. "What do you plan to do?" "I'll show them what it means to repay blood with blood," Lin Ziasu said. "Are you planning an assassination?" Chang Yi frowned. "How can Qianlong die in vain? They killed number 65. I will go and kill Du Bian. If there's a chance, I'll snatch that purple magic stone along the way to complete his mission for him," Lin Ziasu declared. If it were just an assassination, Chang Yi might have objected. Because in the Qianlong dictionary, there are priorities, and revenge is never the main course for Qianlong. But he mentioned a true main course, taking back the purple magic stone. The task of retrieving the purple magic stone was Agent 65's mission. With Agent 65 dead, the best consolation for his spirit was not to avenge him, but to complete the mission he did not finish. This mission, being of SS rank, was even more crucial than the mission they were tasked with at the moment. Chang Yi's heart thumped rapidly. "Is it feasible?" "I'm not certain about retrieving the purple magic stone, but I am confident I can make Du Bian pay in blood," Lin Ziasu said. "Even if the assassination fails, it can still throw them into chaos. In the disorder, we can advance our own mission. Be extremely careful. Agent 65's demise has proven that place is an undisputed dragon's lair and tiger's den," Chang Yi warned. "Dragon's lair, presumptuous of them to claim so. Without Qianlong there are no dragons. Only when Qianlong enters does it become a dragon's lair," Lin Ziasu said and added, "I shall go." Chang Yi suddenly reached out. "You're taking action tonight." "Tonight holds the greatest advantage. Du Bian must be at the Research Institute right now, making it easier for our plan. Cover for me." After some arrangements, Lin Ziasu withdrew her hand, breaking free from her grasp. The next moment, he left the hotel. Chang Yi closed his eyes, deep in thought. As he had said, tonight was a good opportunity because of the major incident involving Daxia's Qianlong infiltration. Du Bian was surely at the Research Institute, discussing countermeasures. However, every benefit comes with a disadvantage. With the enemy's leaders gathered, so would their masters be. The Institute, at this moment, would have security even more rigorous than when Agent 65 sneaked in. Could he really break through? Agent 65, in terms of physical prowess, was someone Chang Yi couldn't even match. And him. He was not an official Qianlong agent. He had never taken part in cross-border operations before, nor had he ever faced endless formidable enemies alone. But as comrades, mutual trust was the basic premise. With no better plan of her own, all she could do was believe in him. Lin Ziasu left the hotel, and his face abruptly changed. Before stepping into the dark streets, he was Lin Ziasu. After stepping out, he had become an old man. Huang Chengwang. Indeed, his entire being had transformed into Huang Chengwang, his hair even touched with gray. He walked down the street for a dozen steps, swiftly adjusting his gait. After a dozen steps, he was the spitting image of Huang Chengwang as seen through the reverse time. There were still taxis passing on the street. He hailed one, announcing an address. The taxi weaved through the streets, arriving at the west side of CDAO Island. On the east side of CDAO Island was a scenic spot, a beautiful area. The central part was bustling, a business district. The west side, however, was relatively open, near a bay and atop a cliff. There stood the silver-white building, the Royal Research Institute. Indeed, such a place, adjacent to the sea and isolated, was more suitable for scientific research. Naturally, the main entrance of the Research Institute was guarded. Moreover, the security appeared extremely sharp. Lin Zaiasu, mimicking an old man's steps, advanced closer. A red beam of light shone upon his face, and the gatehouse's security system activated, comparing this face. Of course, Lin Zaiasu did not know whether this face was input into the security system, but it didn't matter. "Who are you? What is your purpose?" A voice came from the guard booth. "Please notify Mr. Du Bian that Huang Chengweng from Daxia is here to visit." About a minute later, the red light turned green, the gate opened, and a gaunt young man seemingly materialized, bowing slightly in front of Lin Zaiasu. "Mr. Huang, Mr. Du Bian is waiting in Building 4. Please follow me." The first barrier of the Research Institute, not open to outsiders, was thus breached, simply because the visitor was an individual who could not be denied. And the timing was peculiarly sensitive. In Building 4, on the third floor, the white-haired old man whom he had met in the reverse time greeted him with a smiling face at the door. "Mr. Huang, you've come late at night. Is there urgent business?" "Sorry for the intrusion at this untimely hour, Mr. Du Bian. If it weren't for an emergency, I would not dare to disturb you," he replied. Mr. Du Bian's brow furrowed slightly. "Please come in, Mr. Huang." Chapter 103. Chapter 103, Stealing the Purple Magic Stone. Led into the room, the young man who had escorted Lin Zaiasu to the door stopped at the edge and stayed outside. Inside, apart from Mr. Dubian, there was also a young beauty kneeling and preparing tea for them. Lin Zaiasu knew that this woman was an expert. The young man who had brought him in was also an expert. How skilled were they? Roughly on par with Chang Yi. There were others in the yard, and at least 10 of them were at the expert realm. In the entire building, experts were truly countless. He really had no idea how number 65 had broken through the defenses of these experts. Regardless of how number 65 had broken through, Lin Zaiasu didn't plan to follow his path, because the path he was going to take was unimaginably different. "Now can Mr. Huang be candid and state his intentions?" Mr. Dubian said. "I was a bit hasty yesterday, and I forgot to mention something, so I made a special trip today to give Mr. Dubian a heads up," Lin Zaiasu said. "Oh, what is it?" "The purple magic stone. I've set a secret mechanism on it. Blindly attempting to open it and triggering the mechanism would lead to unimaginable consequences." The purple magic stone was the stone that had been stolen, and it was referred to as the purple magic stone in the conversation between the two yesterday. All this information was obtained by Lin Zaiasu through reverse time and lip reading. Mr. Dubian's eyebrows twitched slightly. Is such an important matter really something Mr. Huang forgot? A slow smile spread across Lin Zaiasu's face. "In front of Mr. Dubian, I won't hide it from you. Yesterday I also wanted to see if Mr. Dubian's final arrangements for me were sincere. Now I have seen Mr. Dubian's sincerity. In Daxia, we have an old saying, responding to a peach with a plum, a heart for a heart. Hence, tonight I specially came to convey my apologies and to make up for my sincerity." "Ha ha," Mr. Dubian laughed heartily. "Mr. Huang is cautious as he has just arrived in Fusang, which is understandable. Now that we meet each other with honesty, the joy is profound. How about a drink?" "I think let's disable this secret mechanism first, then I can enjoy that drink with peace of mind." Mr. Dubian stood up. "Mr. Huang, please." "Mr. Dubian, after you." Both of them got up, walked through the corridor ahead, and entered a laboratory. This laboratory, with the door looking very ordinary from the outside, but upon pressing a button, the wooden door slid silently to both sides, revealing that it was not a wooden door at all, but a steel door that was over 3 inches thick. Inside the laboratory, several researchers dressed in white lab coats were either in front of computers or at experimental stations, and there was another steel door. Opening the steel door revealed a completely sealed small laboratory, and under a large glass hood over 2 meters tall, a faint purple glow was very peculiar. Lin Zaiasu's heart skipped a beat as his gaze was drawn to the center of the purple light, where lay the purple magic stone that had been stolen from Changsheng Group. 3 gentle laser beams shot from 3 different directions, intersecting on the stone, evidently analyzing it. His eyes fixed on the purple magic stone. Mr. Dubian watched him from the corner of his eye. This laboratory was definitely not a place ordinary people could enter, but Huang Chengwang was obviously not an ordinary person. He was the man who had taken the purple magic stone from Daxia at the risk of his life. The purple magic stone was originally his, and having given it to the Royal Research Institute as an exchange for protection, he surely would not have any crooked thoughts. Now what needed to be pondered was, this man had studied the purple magic stone for many years and was said to have a pile of findings, how to completely extract these research results. It was foreseeable, the process of him revealing his research findings would not be pleasant. Why? Huang Chengwang had nothing left except for this amulet. If he gave everything up all at once, he would lose all his value afterward. A traitor to his country, when utterly devoid of value, would certainly become expendable. This point Huang Chengwang was surely aware of. So he would definitely squeeze out a little bit at a time like toothpaste, maintaining his value point to exchange for long-term protection from Fuseng country. He would never imagine that the Huang Chengwang before him was a fake. He was Lin Ziasu. At this moment, what was running at high speed in Lin Ziasu's mind was not the research results, but an escape route. His brain had spun millions of times, but the decision came in an instant. Mr. Huang, where is the secret mechanism? Lin Ziasu's finger slowly extended, pointing towards the purple magic stone in front of him. Mr. Dubian's eyes narrowed as he followed his finger. Suddenly, the speed of this finger accelerated 100-fold. As a finger stopped on the glass cover. The solid glass cover, which bullets couldn't penetrate, cracked everywhere. Mr. Dubian was utterly shocked, almost not daring to believe his own eyes. Boom! The finger retracted into a fist. Lin Ziasu threw a punch, and the glass cover in front of him was completely shattered. His hand shot through the gap between two laser beams and clasped the purple magic stone. Mr. Dubian swiftly stepped aside. As he sidestepped, a piece of glass swept past his neck, chilling to the bone. The complexion of the young man who had been following them all along changed dramatically. His hand raised to draw the blade from his waist, but as soon as it was drawn, Lin Ziasu's fingers were already on the blade. The next moment, the blade traced a beautiful arc. As the youth's head jerked suddenly to the side. All the people in the laboratory looked up simultaneously. In their shocked gaze, a figure darted through the lab like lightning and out into the corridor. It wasn't until this moment that the first cry of alarm sounded. At the end of the corridor, two guards acted at the same time, one with a gun and the other with a knife. Bullets flew towards Lin Ziasu's chest like lightning. Lin Ziasu's body swerved sharply, gliding against the wall, as two bullets whizzed past his body. He was already beside the guards, his hand swept out. Sheku. Two guards' heads flew into the air. Out from the next room, three people burst out. At the end of the corridor in front of the huge floor-to-ceiling window, Lin Ziasu threw a punch, shattering the glass. Kill him? Before the three words were fully uttered, Lin Ziasu leaped up, passing through the still scattering glass shards, shooting out the window. Outside the window was the sea. Among these three people, one moved fast as lightning, reaching the window in an instant, his hand stretched forward, his glove transforming into a dragon claw that detached and snatched at the free-falling Lin Ziasu, with a thin rope trailing behind the claw. If caught, Lin Ziasu could be pulled back in. Unexpectedly, just as the claw reached Lin Ziasu's shoulder, he somersaulted in midair, dodging the claw. A glint of cold light from his hand, he reflected the blade back towards the person at the window. The man at the window caught the flying knife in the nick of time, but the force of the blade, empowered by the inner strength it contained, left him numb and halted his pursuit. He could only watch as Lin Ziasu plummeted into the ocean. On the grass below, 4 or 5 shadows leapt up, pouncing toward Lin Ziasu, whose toes were already touching the water's surface. As they leapt, Lin Ziasu was still there. As they descended like diving eagles, Lin Ziasu had already sunk into the water. Even submerged, they were determined to capture him. However, they suddenly felt their consciousness blur. "Poison, there's poison in the water," someone shouted. Among the 5 who had fallen, only one was frantically struggling in the water, as if unseen hands were choking him, while the other 4 fell silent, obviously having met their demise. The struggling person lasted about 5 seconds before arching his back and sinking to the seabed. This caused the dozen people who had reached the shore to halt, faces turning pale. With just this delay, Lin Zaiasu had disappeared forever. Yes, there was another person underwater, Chang Yi. Chang Yi was his backup, lurking in the water, waiting for him, covering his retreat. That was his plan. As Lin Zaiasu plunged from the window into the sea, Chang Yi released the strongest poison. How was it released? Embarrassingly, she had opened a protective gate at the bottom, causing all living things within 100 meters to belly up. Not to mention those who dived into the water. Even Lin Zaiasu, who had been vaccinated several times, felt his head spin upon plunging in. Even he couldn't withstand it. Luckily, 2 pills were stuffed into his mouth underwater. A fair hand grabbed his hand, and they dived underwater, gliding deeper into the ocean. Among those 2 pills, one was an antidote. Although it couldn't cure her most potent poison, it could still provide relief. What truly worked was Lin Zaiasu's own rejuvenation skill. And the other pill, that was a secret weapon, her latest invention, the oxygen pills, which when combined with saliva in the mouth, produced oxygen, allowing one to stay underwater for hours without a diving helmet. After 10 miles of underwater voyage, the crisis was essentially resolved. With Lin Zaiasu's rejuvenation skill operating at full capacity, Chang Yi's poison was successfully neutralized, and the two emerged from the water. Chang Yi took a deep breath and asked, "How is the situation?" "I killed Mr. Dubian." "Good. The restless soul of number 65, roaming the alien mountains and rivers, can also rest in peace," Chang Yi said. "The Royal Research Institute must also become chaotic just as we wish. How shall we take advantage amidst this chaos?" Chang Yi didn't ask about another matter of utmost importance, the purple stone, because she knew that the mission had failed. There was nothing protruding from Lin Zaiasu's entire body, and that stone, with a diameter of 5 to 6 inches and weighing around 7 to 8 pounds, was very conspicuous. If he had been successful, she would have noticed early on. The outcome was clear, so there was no need to dwell on that mission, because that mission was never theirs to begin with. At the current stage, having already alarmed the enemy, success became even less likely. A mysterious light flashed in Lin Zaiasu's eyes. "What we do depends on what they do. What do you think they will do?" Chang Yi slowly raised her head, her eyes also twinkling. "You framed Huang Chengwen and wanted to use the Royal Research Institute's hands to drag him out of Zhezuo Island, creating an opportunity for us. Is this your idea of taking advantage amidst the chaos?" In that instant, she felt she truly understood Lin Zaiasu's meaning behind taking advantage amidst the chaos. Huang Chengwen was in Zhezuo Island, an island surrounded by water, tightly monitored, where not even a fly could get in, let alone approach to kill. Even if one could forcefully break in, one would definitely end up brawling with the soldiers first. If the Black Dragon Society's experts were alerted, anyone coming would be in deep trouble, so how to assassinate Huang Chengwen, who is protected in the core circle? That island was Huang Chengwen's cocoon. If you couldn't break the cocoon, you couldn't kill him. Faced with such a situation, Lin Zaiasu chose not to confront it head-on. He created an opportunity where there was none. Since we can't get on the island to kill Huang Chengwen, let's use outside forces to draw him out. So he disguised himself as Huang Chengwen and killed someone from the Royal Research Institute, using the power of the Royal Research Institute to pull the turtle out of its shell. This was not merely taking advantage amidst chaos, but also a chain of plans. Having interpreted this, Chang Yi realized how smart Comrade Little C was. Chapter 104, Serial Schemes Fishing in Troubled Waters. Ding Yi Tang of the Research Institute hurried over. Upon seeing the 2 corpses in the laboratory, his complexion turned pale, and when he shifted his gaze to the shattered glass cover and saw it empty inside, he was furious. "Are you saying it was Huang Chengwen from Daxia?" "Yes," the beauty who had been pouring tea for Lin Zaiasu answered, her face now ashen. "I met Mr. Dubian and him at the airport yesterday." The Black Dragon Society had already sent people over to transfer the Purple Demon Stone for their research, indicating they had thoughts of seizing it. I refused them on this side, and saying that Huang Chengwen came personally to retrieve it is also a possibility. Ding Yi Teng said, "Let's go to Zhezuo Island." This depends on the particularities of Fuseng country. Fuseng country is different from Daxia country. The military and government are separate. The Royal Research Institute belongs to the government. The Black Dragon Society is backed by the military. Although the government and military cooperate on the whole, there is also competition in many fields, especially in the field of high technology. This stone is related to a whole new technology. Both the government and military want it, and holding the most advanced technology gives them more chips in the game of political power. Hence, the Black Dragon Society demanded that the Royal Research Institute hand over the stone for research, with the reason being, the Black Dragon Society has a wealth of talent, and in the field of neutrinos, they have already obtained a large number of research results. The stone would yield results more easily in their hands. Naturally, Ding Yiteng refused. The vice chairman Gu Kun from the Black Dragon Society left in disgruntlement at that time. Were they willing to let it go? Obviously not. Dean, is there another possibility? A middle-aged man with glasses slowly looked up. Yiteng, let's hear your thoughts. Dean Yiteng's gaze moved towards him. Because this Yiteng was a person of great insight and was highly regarded by Dean Yiteng. Yiteng said, I've seen Huang Chengweng's profile. He's a researcher and has no record of genetic transformation. The person who came tonight is clearly a top expert. Could there be an impersonator? Dean Yiteng's eyes became calm. Everyone around also calmed down. Could there be an impersonator? Of course it's possible. Just as Yiteng said, Huang Chengweng is a research staff member. Researchers work on genetic transformation for others, but they themselves rarely undergo genetic transformation. Why? Because they know better than anyone that genetic transformation carries huge risks and severe side effects. Researchers rely on their intelligence, not physical prowess. If they ruin their brains in pursuit of physical skills, they'll lose the tools of their livelihood. Unless this researcher has some severe illness that would kill him without genetic transformation, researchers are unlikely to take this path. The possibility of impersonation is high. Who could be impersonating? It could be Qianlong. Since Qianlong has already appeared, one Qianlong was killed last night. Is it not possible for another to show up tonight? Of course, it is possible. Besides Qianlong, is there any other possibility? Yes, there is. That would be the Black Dragon Society. The Black Dragon Society is teeming with talents of all kinds. They could also be the ones impersonating Huang Chengweng coming to forcefully take the Purple Demon Stone. Now that they have succeeded in taking the stone, even if the Royal Research Institute wants to hold them accountable, they can outright deny it. At worst, they can give up Huang Chengweng. The Black Dragon Society has done plenty of such things. For a moment, there was a flurry of discussions and a multitude of speculative conclusions. Ding Yiteng's gaze slowly lifted. It could be Huang Chengweng, it could be imposture by Qianlong, or even the Black Dragon Society. Regardless of the possibilities, seeing is believing. Until we confront Huang Chengweng himself, it's all speculation. Let's go to Zhezuo Island. Everyone nodded in agreement. Yes, no matter how complex your hypotheses are, you ultimately have to meet Huang Chengweng himself. See this person up close, collect all his information, and compare it to the traces he left at the Royal Research Institute to truly determine whether it was him who entered the institute at night to kill and steal the stone. As for what follows, let's wait and see how it plays out, but the first step must be to face Huang Chengweng himself. Between Shidiaban Island and Zhezuo Island, on the sea, two heads looked up simultaneously, staring at the dozen or so cars racing through the night. They also stared at a dozen or so speedboats that seemed to appear out of nowhere on the water. Cheng Yi's heartbeat sped up. They're really coming. Of course, no matter how complex their considerations, they won't give up on a face-to-face meeting with Huang Chengweng. Cheng Yi asked, will Huang Chengweng really be taken by them? That possibility is meaningless, because that move is not within our game plan. Not in our game plan. Cheng Yi's eyes widened. The end goal of the scheme you designed isn't to lure Huang Chengweng off the island to create an opportunity to kill him. Of course not, Lin Zaiyasu said. All I want is for them to go to the island. The result of their interrogation of Huang Chengweng is not my concern at all. After a moment of thought, Cheng Yi's eyes slowly brightened. I understand now. We blend into their group and fish in troubled waters, right? Yes. Cheng Yi focused on the dozens of people boarding the speedboats. The commotion caused by a dozen speedboats is enough. It's truly fortunate they didn't take flying cars. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to fish in troubled waters. I've already checked. The Royal Research Institute only has 2 flying cars, which can't fit so many people. Besides, it's only a dozen miles from the Royal Research Institute to here, so they can only travel by car or boat. You've even calculated how many people would come. Lin Zaiasu smiled. That depends on the particularities of the Black Dragon Society. The Black Dragon Society belongs to the military, and the Royal Research Institute to the government. Fusang country is not like our country. Their military and government have their conflicts. The Black Dragon Society is typical for its cunning and ruthlessness, and the Royal Research Institute deeply fears them. Without enough manpower, they don't have the confidence to kick over the table on their opponent's turf. Chang Yi was a bit confused. What's this? A series of brilliant plans, each step controlled with precision. Was this trained at base 101? Please, I was in base 101 for less than half a month and became as sharp as a ghost. How can I, who have lived in the small courtyard of 101 for several years, take this? More than 10 speedboats from the Royal Research Institute entered Zhezuo Island at night. When they were still 300 meters away from the island, huge searchlights on the island suddenly lit up, shining towards the speedboats on the sea. Behind the searchlights, countless red lines also lit up. These were military laser sights, not very useful in actual combat, but in the darkness of night, they created a very strong sense of intimidation, as nearly everyone was illuminated by these red lights. Who goes there? A commanding voice came from the island. On the leading speedboat, Ding Yiteng slowly stood up, allowing a red light to shine on his forehead. Ding Yiteng from the Royal Research Institute. I have come to visit Vice General Qiu Fei, as well as the Vice Chairman Gu Kun of the Black Dragon Society. The searchlight moved towards Ding Yiteng, his face clearly visible. The faces of the people around him were also clearly visible. Whether or not there was facial recognition connected to the searchlights behind, he could withstand the scrutiny. Indeed, it was him. On the rocks at the edge of the island, a silhouette appeared. So, it's Ding Yiteng. May I inquire about the purpose of your visit at this late hour? I've already said, I want to have a face-to-face conversation with Vice General Qiu Fei and Chairman Gu Kun. With the high-stakes negotiation at hand, Ding Yiteng naturally wouldn't reveal his intentions so easily. Please, Dean. Below the water in front, it seemed that a gate barrier was pulled back, and two ripples rolled up on the surface. The speedboat started up and sped towards the island. No one noticed that two more people had joined underneath the two speedboats. The speedboat docked, the group went ashore and soldiers guarded the seaside, but the lights were extinguished. Suddenly, two soldiers collapsed at the same time. The next moment, their bodies were dragged into the bushes, and there was a faint sound of clothes being changed. Moments later, the two soldiers looked at each other and smiled, crawling into the bushes above and quickly arrived in front of the island's council building. Inside the council building, Vice General Qiu Fei and Vice Chairman Gu Kun were receiving guests. Qiu Fei was not fat, in fact, he was somewhat lean. Gu Kun was not alone. Behind him followed more than a dozen experts from the Black Dragon Society. There were no tea rooms, only factions. In the vast hall, with 3 large lamps illuminating the room brightly, the two parties approached each other from the east and west. The people on both sides were all experts, and the unique oppressive feeling that only masters could sense made the spacious hall seem somewhat crowded. Vice General Qiu Fei, Chairman Gu Kun. Ding Yiteng stepped forward. I have come here tonight to meet Huang Chengweng from Daxia. May I ask for him to be brought out? Both Qiu Fei and Gu Kun were shocked. Qiu Fei said, meet Huang Chengweng. Why? Because an hour ago, he came to our Royal Research Institute, killed Mr. Dubian, and in addition killed 8 defense personnel, stealing our heavily guarded purple magic stone. What? Qiu Fei and all those around him were shocked. Even the soldier by the door was startled. Her gaze turned to the other soldier, full of disbelief. She was Chang Yi. The person she was looking at was Lin Zaiasu. Stole the purple magic stone. Where's the stone? No, impossible. He didn't have the purple magic stone on him at all. The dean is lying. Why lie? There can only be one reason. The Royal Research Institute wanted to take this opportunity to close off other people's chances at the purple magic stone. While it was in their hands, the Black Dragon Society wanted it. Now he directly tells the opponent, the purple magic stone was stolen, and it was stolen by your people. How can others come to me for the purple magic stone? What a sly fox, even turning a sudden crisis into a chip favorable to himself. Quite an eye-opener. Vice General Qiu Fei said, that's absolutely impossible. Huang Chengweng has been in the VIP room since yesterday and has not left the island. Gukun's face changed drastically and he stepped forward. Ding Yiteng, is it true that the purple magic stone was stolen? Both of their expressions were so genuine, but no matter how genuine their performances were, it wasn't enough to explain everything. Because how many normal people are there amongst those mixed with the Black Dragon Society, associated with the Black Dragon Society? Each one's acting skills are top-notch. Ding Yiteng spoke coldly. Since Huang Chengwang is still in the VIP room, why not invite him out to meet face-to-face? Qiu Fei turned around. Someone fetch Huang Chengwang here. Behind him, two soldiers disappeared in a blur, their movement techniques mysterious and extraordinary. The atmosphere in the room began to grow tense. Soon, an old man with graying hair entered from another door, his complexion showing a mix of suspicion, fear, and confusion. Chapter 105, Awakener. Outside the conference hall, Lin Ziasu and Chang Yi exchanged glances, both with excited expressions in their eyes. With Dragon Eyes identification, this person was indeed Huang Chengwang. Having set up a series of traps, the ultimate target was now in front of them. Are you Huang Chengwang? Ding Yiteng asked coldly. I am. You are. The Dean of the Royal Research Institute, Yiteng. So it's Dean Yiteng. I am friends with Mr. Du Bayan from your institute, and I have always wanted to meet His Excellency the Dean. Huang Chengwang's face was full of sycophantic expressions. As a highly sought-after scientist of the Changxing group, he did not have to fawn over Daxia officials. On the contrary, those officials had to show him respect, but that was in Daxia. Now he was nothing but a bereft hound, a rude bereft hound at that, undeserving of even a bone, so his entire being had turned supple and slick. Ding Yiteng said coldly, because you're his friend, that's how you were able to enter his reception room without obstruction, how you managed to ambush and kill him, and how you were able to steal the purple magic stone. Overwhelmed by a barrage of shocking news, Huang Chengwang was left reeling, clueless of his whereabouts. Hiss! At the same moment, 3 large lamps in the room went out. Everyone in the conference hall was shocked at the same time. At least 7 or 8 people immediately surrounded Ding Yiteng. Boom! A muffled explosion rang out, and the conference hall filled with dense smoke. Poison! One person next to Yiteng shouted, his voice cut off abruptly and he collapsed to the ground. Complete chaos ensued in the hall. Vice General Qiu Fei's voice rose. The Royal Research Institute has released poison. They're trying to kill us. Zhezuo Island soldiers, on my command, opened fire and returned fire. His voice had barely faded when gunfire erupted, shooting towards the Research Institute's group at the center of the dense fog. In the midst of the soldiers' confusion, they suddenly heard the order from the general. The sound of gun mechanisms was heard all at once, and the gunfire was deafening. Vice General Qiu Fei abruptly shrank back, retreating to the rear, his face turning pale. He didn't issue this command. Which son of a bitch? As gunfire thundered, the Royal Research Institute's 50-some people bore the brunt, with 7 or 8 shot in an instant. Ding Yiteng's voice echoed from the darkness, kill them all. Kill! The genetic masters around him swept out, instantly scattering the opposing formation. Yiteng, with 4 or 5 protectors, had already reached the wall. His complexion had also changed. He hadn't given that order either. Of all the people, Huang Chengwang was the most bewildered. What was this all about? They brought me out, not even 3 sentences were exchanged, and both sides suddenly engaged in a fierce battle. Indeed, foreigners are this unreasonable. It's too dangerous. I want to go home. Suddenly, a faint light appeared beside him. Huang Chengwang felt a chill on his neck, and his head inexplicably flew off. Beside him stood a person resembling a soldier. This soldier was wearing glasses. She was Chang Yi. Within Dragon Eye, a rapid scan detected. A green mark appeared, signifying the genetic identification was passed. The person killed, indeed, was Huang Chengwang. Her figure flashed, sweeping past another soldier. Through the messy battlefield, they approached the door. Outside the door, a large group of soldiers came head-on, all hurrying to offer backup after hearing the gunfire. What greeted them were 2 bullets. Boom! Dense fog rose, making it impossible to see one's own hands. Maybe the fog had covered the sky, or maybe their eyes had suddenly become blurry. In any case, their vision darkened and a taste they couldn't identify invaded their lungs. The entire platoon of soldiers spun around dizzyingly, nearly all of them falling at the same time. Lin Ziasu and Chang Yi crossed a kilometer of space in just 3 breaths. with the ocean close at hand. Suddenly, 3 figures broke through the poison fog from behind. Hiss! 3 bullets in a Chinese letter formation shot towards Lin Zaiasu. If he continued to surge forward, he would definitely hit at least 1 bullet. If he didn't surge forward, he would still get hit. This was bullet ambush, the high-level realm of a sharpshooter. Another figure did not fire, but his speed of movement was almost comparable to a bullet, reaching Chang Yi's back in an instant. Lin Zaiasu's body abruptly stilled, placing the dagger in front of him. A spark flashed and accurately intercepted a bullet. This was the only way to deal with bullet ambush. When bullets have blocked all the escape routes, one has no choice but to take the hit head-on. The bullet struck the dagger, breaking it in 2. However, before the broken half of the dagger hit the ground, Lin Zaiasu caught it lightning fast, and in a backhanded throw, hiss. The sharpshooter in the air suddenly widened his eyes, as his throat was pierced directly by this throw. Meanwhile, Chang Yi's figure suddenly split into countless forms, fighting speed with speed against the fast-moving opponent, filling the entire area with blurring images. The third person suddenly let out a long howl, the sound not human-like but akin to a wolf. He clawed down, tips of his fingers glowing with a faint light, seizing at Lin Zaiasu with a speed just slightly less than the first superhuman. But Lin Zaiasu was not Chang Yi. He directly extended his hand. Boom! A punch seemed to come out of nowhere, landing heavily on the genetic master's forehead. Despite being transformed with an incredibly strong body, the punch sent him flying far away, silent upon landing. Hiss! A soft sound echoed, Chang Yi's hair flying. The speed master who had tangled with her for over a dozen seconds stumbled off the rocky shore. Let's go! Chang Yi let out a loud shout, and both of them leaped off the last coast. At the same time, the wall of the council hall behind them was forcibly smashed open, and countless masters soared into the sky. Just as Lin Zaiasu and Chang Yi were about to flee from the siege, the sea before them suddenly churned violently. As if mountains and seas were transforming, a giant figure rushed out of the water. Lin Zaiasu activated his heavenly Tao wisdom eye, and his heart was also greatly startled. Is this a person? Can't be right. The figure was at least 3 meters tall, with scale armor all over the body, and its eyes were green. The giant raised both hands at the same time, these hands like Poseidon's tridents. 2 tridents attacked Lin Zaiasu and Chang Yi at the same time. Lin Zaiasu threw a punch, hitting the target squarely. But the punch was like hitting a steel plate, unable to move the figure at all. Instead, he himself was shaken by this incredibly strong force towards the cliff behind him. Chang Yi reacted extremely fast, deploying dragon scale, thrusting a dagger with all her strength into the giant's palm. Crack! The dragon scale that could penetrate a steel plate shattered into pieces. Blood flowed from her tiger's mouth. With a punch from the giant, Chang Yi raised her palm to block boom. She too was sent flying far away, slamming into the cliff behind her. Chang Yi steadied herself on the cliff with her feet as though sticking on it, her hair flying and her expression extremely serious. Awakener. Lin Zaiasu's expression also changed. Awakener, he had seen it before in 101. He knew this was the second tier of genetic people. The first level being Sprout, representing a breakthrough in certain aspects of genes, the second level being Awakener, signifying transcendence. Tonight they actually encountered an Awakener. Just 1 blow had already defeated both him and Chang Yi's joint attack. From above, the sound of the wind rushed fiercely, and the seashore didn't know how many masters had landed. By now, even the slowest person realized that it was a trap. Someone had played a trick. Whether it was the Black Dragon Society or the Royal Research Institute, they had now joined forces, planning to tear them to shreds. And ahead was an Awakener. They were already in a desperate situation. Fight! Lin Zaiasu spat out a word. With that word, his hand slowly lifted, lifting it as if pulling on all the strength in his body. Kill! Chang Yi's feet suddenly vibrated, and she turned into a sharp arrow, rushing towards the Awakener in front of her. In the Awakener's green pupils, full of cruel coldness, both claws suddenly closed together. At that moment, a fist came from above. Boom! It hit the giant head of the Awakener precisely, where the head was also covered in scales. Supposedly even bullets would ricochet off. However, the actions of the Awakener suddenly stopped. Swoosh! Chang Yi passed between his claws and plunged headfirst into the sea. Linzayasu also dived in. The Awakener stood dumbly on the rocks, seemingly not noticing. Slowly he fell down, and his head hit the rocks with a dull sound. The color drained from the faces of the people on shore. The Awakener, the strongest trump card on Jejuo Island. His entire body was impenetrable to blades and guns. He was truly powerful. He was naturally violent. Even Vice General Fei dared not let him onto the island. Such a theoretically indestructible barrier actually fell under the seemingly gentle punch of that person. Several masters dove into the sea and approached the Awakener, turned him over with difficulty, and after a check, the result was even more astonishing. The Awakener's head had been smashed to pieces. It was not just a fall, he was dead. One punch killed an Awakener. Vice Chairman Gu Kun's eyes sparkled. Could it be Qianlong Thunder who has come? It's not Jing Lei. 4 words came from the sea surface in Daxia language. The voice was clear and soft, seemingly not loud, yet almost everyone on shore heard the sentence. Everyone's gaze simultaneously lifted, staring at a small boat on the sea. This boat wasn't a mechanical one, just an ordinary small boat that required paddling by hand. However, a person in white clothes stood at the bow of the boat, wearing a silver mask on his face. Yet there was no oar in hand. Without paddles or any power, the small boat sped towards shore amidst the big waves. Just one boat, with an inexplicable method of propulsion, already made the dozens of masters on shore eyes shine brightly. Mysterious Ancient Marshal. Mysterious Ancient Marshal from Daxia. Your Highness White-Clothed King, Gu Kun gave a deep bow. He also spoke in Daxia language. Members of the Black Dragon Society behind him trembled slightly and bowed at the same time. Din Yiteng's heart also shook. He had heard of the legend of the White-Clothed King. Legend has it that this person is not a Fusang person, but from Daxia only. He is the enemy of Daxia's Qianlong. Hence, he is a distinguished guest of the Black Dragon Society. Even the Black Dragon Association chairman treated him with great respect. The White-Clothed King, overlooking all the courtesies from members of the Black Dragon Society including the vice-chairman, turned his gaze toward Din Yiteng. Din Yiteng, perhaps you do not know, the Qianlong who entered your institute last night, ultimately died at whose hand. Today you might as well tell the truth. It was I who killed him. Yiteng was violently shaken. The person last night, by the time he reached the 3rd floor, had already alerted the guards. He killed 7 guards, got to the laboratory door. The blasting device was already set up, suddenly collapsed. No one in the institute knew how he died. Now the result has come out. It turns out to be this white-clothed king. Chapter 106. Chapter 106, White-Clothed Heavenly King's Slight Oversight. Yiteng also bowed. So it was Your Excellency who took action. Thank you, Your Excellency. Just one encounter. Both originally hostile camps thanked him simultaneously. And the pace was completely transformed by the White-Clothed King. This could be seen from a single detail. Before his arrival, everyone communicated in Fusang language. Even someone like Huang Chengwen, when coming to Fusang country, spoke Fusang language. But the White-Clothed King, on the contrary, spoke Daxia language, and everyone who spoke to him had to speak Daxia language as well. This is the demeanor of the powerful. I don't need to adapt to you, you must adapt to me. Your Excellency the White-Clothed King, Gu Village said. You mentioned the person who came is not Jing Lei. Does this mean you know who he is? His Daxia language was also very fluent. I don't know who he is. I can only confirm he is not Jing Lei, the White-Clothed King said. Do you know why? Because if it were Jing Lei, he wouldn't need to flee. He could have killed all of you and then sat down to enjoy a cup of tea on the island before leaving. Gu Village's eyelids twitched. Jing Lei. Such a terrifying person. Even the White-Clothed King used such words to describe him. This person is very strange, said the White-Clothed King. I recognize many of the true masters in Qianlong, but among these masters he definitely isn't one. He is an emerging figure. A newcomer. Does this act seem like a newcomer? Saying his rank in the gold medal is outside the top 50, probably no one would believe it, and you say he is a newcomer. But facing the White-Clothed King, whatever you say goes. The White-Clothed King said, There's another person who is very fearsome, have you all realized? Your Excellency, are you referring to his companion? The White-Clothed King slightly shook his head. I'm talking about the mastermind behind this scheme. Since ancient times, no matter how strong the combat power, it only dominates a region, but those who excel in strategy can achieve legendary status. Scheme, Ding Yiteng frowned. Hasn't Ding Yiteng realized? This person has executed a series of chain schemes, creating opportunities out of none, seizing the purple magic stone, killing Du Bian, and if I'm not wrong, Huang Chengweng is dead as well, right? Gu village was greatly shaken. Your Excellency, your insight is light, light as a torch. Huang Chengweng was indeed beheaded amid the chaos. The white-clothed king sighed. I've heard plenty of Qianlong's missions, some fascinating, but to reach this level of brilliance is rare. The planner of this scheme truly understands human nature, manipulates at will, setting each step to leave the opponent no choice, elevating espionage to the form of art, truly a talent. Yiteng's expression changed. Not until now did his mind fully comprehend. Because the white-clothed king hinted to him, this was a scheme. Recognizing it as a scheme and interpreting it as such made everything clear. This person disguised as Huang Chengweng knows how to discern human hearts. Because only Huang Chengweng could meet Du Bian without obstacles. Yesterday Huang Chengweng personally handed the purple magic stone to Du Bian. How could Du Bian not meet him? Meeting Du Bian, telling him the purple magic stone has a secret, also a sufficient reason aligning with the mindset of seeking protection. Knowing there's a secret, he had the opportunity to get close to the purple magic stone. Others couldn't get close, but the giver of the purple magic stone was of course an exception. In everyone's belief, this stone was gifted by him. If he wanted to scheme, why not do it when he had control over the stone? Of course, the defenses were strict, and everyone was not afraid of this Huang Chengweng harboring such scheming thoughts. Under such a mindset, he struck by surprise, catching everyone off guard. If it were just this, it would have been a successful raid for treasure. However, his game had only just begun. He calculated that the Royal Research Institute would not let this die down, and would definitely go to Zhezuo Island to confront Huang Chengwang. And he, following them in, broke through the impenetrable defenses of Zhezuo Island, extinguished the lights, incited internal chaos amongst the two parties, imitating the voices of leaders from both sides, making them fight each other. With the chaos ignited, who would care about Huang Chengwang? 10 Huang Chengwangs could be killed cleanly in the confusion. Your Excellency, the Heavenly King saw through his intricate plans. Your wisdom is unparalleled. Could you please take action again to find this person and retrieve the purple magic stone? Ding Yiteng said. The white-clothed king smiled. That's exactly why I came here. Everyone was simultaneously invigorated. The white-clothed king said, the purple magic stone is not a peculiar object of this world. It holds strange energy fluctuations. These small items are specially made to detect these energy fluctuations. Take them. Airports, harbors, every possible place he could escape from. Cover them all. As soon as the purple magic stone gets within 1,000 meters of these sensors, there will be a reaction. By the way, the greatest feature of the purple magic stone is that it penetrates everything. No matter what container he uses to package it, it can't contain the energy leakage. With a gentle wave of his hand, more than 10 crystal-clear small items flew towards the shore. The white-clothed king turned around on the vast sea. A small boat without power, no sail, no oar, disappeared into the darkness. Yiteng Gu village exchanged a look. Let's go. They left the island overnight to take control. Although Si Dao Island is large, it's not particularly huge, with 10 detectors, arranging more personnel to sweep across the island. Even if the purple magic stone is a ghost, it would be found. As long as the purple magic stone is found, that person is locked. In Fusang country, do you really think you can overturn the heavens? Do you think you are really Jinglei? Lin Ziasu and Chang Yi have gone ashore and entered a hotel. Are they planning to treat themselves after their victory? Of course not, they need to leave immediately. The storm has already grown large. Waves are overturning beyond the unseen horizon. Staying even a second longer poses a great risk. They must leave at once. Chang Yi takes out 2 human skin masks. Lin Ziasu puts one on and turns into a middle-aged businessman. Chang Yi remains a woman, turning into his secretary. Their identities naturally changed too. They are now a company's boss and secretary, with names and identities that can be verified. Their passports and plane tickets were all in order. Taking a taxi, they headed straight to the airport. The airport seemed normal, but Lin Ziasu sensitively noticed the atmosphere was extremely tense. When others are nervous, he doesn't need to be. They boarded the plane smoothly and had a smooth journey back. An intensive surveillance, A sweeping search was being vigorously conducted on Dao Island, including the island itself, including the airport, including the dock, and even hundreds of speedboats at sea, staring at a shiny jade pendant in their hands, hoping for it to light up. Without this jade pendant, they might have resorted to the most primitive method, conducting a comprehensive search on everyone leaving the country. But with this high-tech toy, things were much easier. Unfortunately, success is due to high-tech. Failure is also due to high-tech. Lin Zaiasu's possession was something that jumped out of the realm of technology. That thing was his secret realm space. The secret realm space is essentially another world. The energy wave of the purple magic stone cannot be locked by anything in this world. That's true, otherwise, it wouldn't produce neutrinos that could penetrate everything. But once this thing enters the secret realm space, as if entering another world, even if this detector could monitor for thousands of miles, so what? This is probably the only oversight of the white-clothed king. Just this one oversight was enough. After an hour of flight, Lin Zaiasu and Chang Yi landed in Jiangcheng at midnight. Stepping onto the soil of Jiangcheng, Chang Yi's heart finally settled. The two walked out of the airport. Lin Zaiasu finally asked a question he had wanted to ask for a long time but never had the time or opportunity. That sea monster, was it truly an awakener? Chang Yi laughed. Do you feel particularly awesome? Even a legendary level awakener, you managed to knock him senseless with a punch. I need to throw some cold water on you. This is an awakener, but not all awakeners are like him. What do you mean? Chang Yi said, the detailed information of awakeners is not recorded in document 101. Let me explain. Awakeners is a broad concept, divided into 3 levels. Saying levels is not precise. Precisely speaking, it's 3 directions. First is physical awakening. Second is bloodline awakening. Third is superpower awakening. Physical body awaken. Evolve into the strongest physical form of primitive organisms. The awakener we encountered this time was a physical body awaken, merely possessing brute strength and solid defense. Bloodline awaken. Awaken the power of bloodlines. What is the power of bloodlines? Basic principle of primitive organisms. Bloodline ants can lift 10 times their body weight. Grasshoppers can jump 100 times their body height. If genetic people awaken this kind of bloodline power, they can lift 10 times their body weight, jump 100 times their body height. When grasshoppers jump 1 meter high, humans think it's common because grasshoppers are small. But if it's scaled up 100 times still within an acceptable range, imagine if a human at that scale jumped. They would directly fly over a 10-story building. Bloodline awakening is already magical, but even more magical is superpower awakening. Superpower awakened ones. Some control water, some control fire, some control thunder and electricity. Lin Zaiasu felt as if a whole new door had opened. What about Jinglei? What power did he awaken? Everyone sees him, they only see the tip of the iceberg. Whatever answer I give might mislead you. Better not to say it anyway, he's unlikely to intersect much with you. Chang Yi said, let's find a hotel and rest, I'm leaving tomorrow. The two got into a taxi. Pressing the gas pedal, they reached Chushan Hotel. Upon entering the hotel, they still appeared as the boss and the secretary, but once inside the room, they reverted back to their original selves. Taking off the masks meant waving goodbye to their trip to Fusang. It was now midnight, the quietest time. After Lin Zaiasu got out of the shower in the bathroom, Chang Yi was wrapped in a sheet sitting on the bed, a large expanse of snow-white skin slightly dazzling. Chang Yi seemed to also think the light was a bit too bright, dimmed the lights a bit. This adjustment, no longer dazzling, but a vague sense of beauty made Lin Zaiasu somewhat restless. Is this half of the bed meant for me? Lin Zaiasu touched the big bed. Yes. Are you going to press me into a frying pan and pan-fry me again? While frying you, do I suffer any less? I'm also being pan-fried, your techniques are just too lethal. With that said, the outcome can be imagined. That's just coming back for more. Chapter 107. Chapter 107 didn't reluctantly withdraw in time. For Mr. Mouth and Rabbit, their caring relationship went smoothly. It had become a routine operation between them. What about the forbidden area below? It used to be a great adventure, but today it has eased a bit. Even when their fingers touched deeply, the silver needle inserted in Lin Zaiasu's arm started to fade in color. It was red, but not bright red. Having touched so much, your resistance to toxins has clearly increased. Chang Yi was a bit excited, but I don't know what she was getting excited about. Actually, from a biological perspective, fingers aren't much different from other organs. What did she mean by that? I won't say. Seems like it, Chang Yi gasped lightly. Shall we try? Chang Yi hesitated, and that hesitation itself was a tremendous surprise. She didn't bounce up immediately. Stopping an out-of-control vehicle was in itself a wonder. Then let's set 3 rules. You tell me. If it feels wrong, withdraw in time. A 6-word policy. Initially, he indeed felt something wrong, like his brain was a bit dizzy, and his body a bit numb. But Lin ultimately did not withdraw in time. Thus, he persisted with a bright red light on his arm. The small light on his arm turned from bright red to pale red, and Chang Yi took a deep breath and completely relaxed. Her relaxation was like a dam bursting. An hour and a half later, it was quiet. The detection needle on Lin Ziyasu's arm turned into a faint yellow. Chang Yi's voice sounded as if from a dream. I never thought I'd have a day like this. Me neither, Lin Ziyasu said. Used to hitting the brakes, why didn't you brake today? I told you, once I go back, I need to undergo my genetic rejection process. Each rejection process is 1 level. When I come back next time, my body's toxins might really be dangerous, and little C's grand blueprint might become an unreachable dream forever. So you seized the last chance, even if it was risky. What do you mean it was me? Clearly you wanted it. I told you to withdraw in time, did you? The next morning, while Lin Ziyasu was still asleep, Chang Yi was up already, pulling away the sheets, humming a little tune in the bathroom, soaking the sheets in the bathtub with some chemical added. Lin Ziyasu could see everything clearly through the frosted glass. One can only comment on her hardships. Other women want to play tricks, easy. They flatten themselves out and don't need to worry about anything else. After she tidied up and came back, Lin Ziyasu sat on the bed watching her with a smile. You're smiling after what you did, Chang Yi glared at him. In the future for these matters, I think it's simpler outdoors. Chang Yi couldn't help but laugh and cry. Is that your conclusion? Yeah, to avoid you having to spend half a day cleaning up the aftermath. You jerk, forget about it from now on, Chang Yi said. I'm leaving, what about you? Do you want little Beauty Ding to keep you company? We've come to this, and you still want to play matchmaker. Please, I've told you 100 times, you need a proper wife, not someone like me who takes a trip to Ghost Gate. I'm not talking nonsense with you anymore. If you get stirred up again, I'd have to clean up once more. Chang Yi said, I'm off, I'll go back and apply for your reward. Chang Yi waved her hand lightly, preparing to open the door. Applying for a reward 500,000, right? Lin Ziyasu said. That's right. Can it be increased, maybe doubled? Chang Yi turned around, a flirtatious look flickering in her eyes. What do you mean? Are you saying that since you've dealt with me, I should personally give you a reward? Damn. This girl really is straightforward. No, the reward for an S-level mission is 500,000, so doubling that for an SS-level mission shouldn't be excessive, right? A mysterious gleam shone in Lin Ziyasu's eyes. Chang Yi's eyes widened. SS-level mission, are you referring to? Lin Ziyasu reached behind and pulled out a purple stone. The light in the room seemed to change color suddenly. Chang Yi's expression completely changed. Purple magic stone, you got it. Yeah, I went to the Royal Research Institute and this stone was my main target. Why do you think they made such a big fuss? It was indeed stolen. But I didn't see you bringing this stone out. That's because I am the legendary detective who appears and disappears without a trace. Lin Ziyasu boasted shamelessly, tossing the stone to Chang Yi. Chang Yi caught it and casually took out a black bag from her package to put the stone inside. The process of packing the stone was her way of calming her turbulent emotions. After the stone was packed, she slowly raised her head. I don't know if you're as incredible as you claim, but this mission should be considered Qianlong's legendary mission of the year. A Qianlong and an unofficial member successfully completing an S-level mission was already a marvel under the circumstances of number 65's failure. This ragtag team taking quick action to complete the unfinished SS-level mission for number 65. If this isn't legendary, what is? Is that $1 million bonus reachable? If Qianlong was Qianlong, let's not even talk about a million. A billion would be appropriate, Chang Yi said. But unfortunately, Qianlong has limited funding, and there's an upper limit on mission bonuses, so it could only be about 1 million. She slowly approached, her lips landing on Lin Ziyasu's and slowly parting. This isn't because I can't bear to part with you, it's me. on behalf of Agent 65, thanking you." She turned and left, walking away. Lin Zaiasu in the messy hotel. "A kiss on behalf of a Qianlong fallen hero to thank me." What an absurd way to say thanks. Lin Zaiasu lay in bed playing with his phone, got up at 8, had a buffet breakfast on the second floor, then left the hotel. Just as he reached the hotel entrance, the window of a blue car rolled down and a beauty stuck her head out. "Hey, your cousin called me, saying she's handing her cousin back to me." "Ryu Shui. Damn Cheng Yi, did you really call her?" "What do you mean?" "We just did that thing last night. I can't believe you're really trying to push me towards another woman. If I could bet, I'd stake my no longer existent virginity that you have ulterior motives. You want me to continue investigating the dark hand inside Changsheng Group." "Handing me back? Didn't our boyfriend-girlfriend status already expire?" Lin Zaiasu said. "Then how about an extension? Don't mention money please, if it's too pricey I might really back out." Ryushui said, "Just so you know, my mom has already planned to cut off my allowance. Without her support, I'll revert to my original status." "Why?" "Because she hasn't found a son-in-law to her liking," Ryushui explained. "Living these days is not easy, fighting with heaven and earth and even parents. So me extending with you fundamentally is about money," Lin Zaiasu responded. "As the saying goes, ill-gotten gains are for those who see it. Should I get a share?" "Absolutely," Ryushui responded while thumping her chest as if playing volleyball. "For all your expenses in Jiangcheng from now on, this lady's footing the bill." Lin Zaiasu got into her car, somewhat feeling like he's boarding a boat. Everyone in the world acts with a purpose. His approach to her was purpose-driven. What about her? What was her purpose in approaching him? Despite their seemingly carefree banter, she definitely wasn't just acting to get her mother's allowance. She must have deeper motives. As for Lin Zaiasu's own considerations, Ding Lijong, in Lin Zaiasu's mind, had turned upside down several times. Initially, he felt something majorly off about Ding Lijong. Later, he thought this old man wasn't a big problem. But now a new sensation arose, making him somewhat cautious, because his daughter remained an enigma. For now, he'd just indulge her in play. As long as there's a purpose, it eventually reveals itself. Speaking of Chang Yi boarded the Qianlong flying car, soaring through clouds, piercing fog, traversing mountains and seas. Her mood also roamed through the clouds and seas, with some excitement and some confusion. This mission to Fusang was about execution. The task was daunting. By convention, for an S-level mission, she could choose any Qianlong gold medal ranked over 100 to assist with the completion, and many were willing to join her. But she didn't choose them. She opted for a non-registered person. Choosing a non-registered person, for the one taking the mission, bordered on a death wish since every mission was like skirting the ghost gate. If the person you chose became your burden, it was undeniably courting death. However, Lin Zaiasu, in an S-level mission that was life-threatening even for official gold medal agents, effortlessly completed the task, even exceeding the goals that weren't theirs in an SS-level task. What does exceeding mean? Acquiring the purple magic stone defined the ultimate completion of an SS-level task, and while securing the SS-level task, he also killed a bunch of people at the Institute. That Du Bian, a De Ziatong operative, persistently implemented various plans against Daxia. Killing him was also a mission. Eliminating him casually meant exceeding the SS-level task. This was the excitement of completing the task. But inside Chang Yi, there was something even more thrilling than completing the task. And that was, she did that thing. Really? She very tangibly did it. She experienced a feeling she thought she'd never feel in her entire life. She, a person doomed to abnormality, experienced normalcy once. Xinyu, do you believe it? When she flew towards base 101, she felt an overwhelming urge to return and share, almost unable to wait to tell Xinyu that her curse was lifted. Chapter 108, Blood Trace Blue Demon. However, Changyi was not Xinyu after all. After his mind got heated for a moment, he still decided to take the most conventional approach. He activated the Dragon Eye and told the old man who appeared within it with a very calm voice, "Godfather, the S-Class mission has been successfully completed. Furthermore, we've also completed an SS-Class mission." That old man was the Qianlong head. His eyelid twitched violently. SS-Class mission. Did you get the purple magic stone? His voice suddenly rose, the usually unflappable demeanor in the face of tumbling Mount Tai showing a trace of excitement. Yes, Chang Yi briefly reported the situation. The old man's cloudy face cleared up instantly. Good, good, good. You don't need to go to 101, come directly to headquarters immediately. Yes. The car sped off toward the South Sea and then turned north. The Qianlong headquarters. Extremely special. In the eyes of the world, the most mysterious Qianlong base of contemporary Daxia is thought to be hidden deep underground. However, only those above the rank of Qianlong gold medal knew that their headquarters was like a paradise on Earth. Apart from dozens of caves with their own universe inside, the majority of the headquarters was filled with green mountains and clear waters, truly a beautiful landscape. A small river flowed down the mountain, and in this peak summer season it was still lined with a flourish of blossoms. Petals fluttered down and followed the current, while willows on the bank swayed gently, resembling the misty Jiangnan region. The difference from the Jiangnan outside is that the people here are extraordinary, more like an immortal world. Someone jumped off a cliff without causing any surprise. Someone rose from the water in flight without causing any surprise. Someone opened fire and bullets bounced off their bodies with no surprise. These, well, are just the norm. Downstream of the river, there were a few small wooden houses. In one of these houses, a platform made of maple boards extended into the turbulent river, with an ancient willow tree breaking through the platform, shading the area underneath. On a small tea table were a few fallen petals, and two young men and women sat beside the table, savoring tea. The male was dressed in a casual t-shirt, pale yellow trousers, with distinctive eyebrows as sharp as swords and slanting towards the heavenly window, a pair of eyes clear as autumn water, a straight nose bridge, and the only flaw on his entire face was probably the scar on his forehead, a bright red wound. Although this scar slightly damaged his good looks, it was this very scar that sublimated his scholarly temperament, giving him a noble bearing. The female wore a dress, the color of the sky in its blue. She was like the tender willows of spring, fragile yet filled with endless vitality. The most conspicuous feature about her was her hair and eyebrows. Both were tinged with a faint blue. These two young people, seemingly just carefree tea appreciators by the river, would send shivers down the spine of anyone from the Nine-Headed Snake organization if their names were mentioned. Because the male was known as Blood Trace and the female as Blue Enchantress. Have you been paying attention to a certain piece of news? With our level of clearance, we can check it through System Y4's entrance. The Blue Enchantress, also known simply as Blue Demon, narrowed her eyes, which seemed to be a light blue as well. Is this the topic you specifically came over to talk about? The just completed SS-class mission in Fusang, Blood Trace said. You've already taken notice of it. Blood Trace sighed softly. Agent 65 died for his country. He was a comrade who had been on 7 missions with me. How could I not pay attention? Agent 65's sacrifice is indeed sad, but this newly emerged newcomer is quite shocking. It's rare to see someone astonish you, Blue Demon, Blood Trace said with a light smile. May I ask what's so surprising? I'm renowned for my transformations all over the world, and of course, what shocks me the most is the disguise technique, the Blue Demon said. He might have developed a kind of disguise technique that's unheard of. Oh, Blood Trace was surprised. The Blue Demon explained, you probably don't know, but the Royal Research Institute of Fusang Country has just launched the Ghost Eye System. Its recognition capability is not less than the Divine Eye System at Qianlong headquarters. All the existing disguise techniques cannot escape this system's discernment between the fake and the real, yet he, impersonating Huang Chengwang, managed to bypass the Ghost Eye System. Within Qianlong, probably only you could pass through the Ghost Eye System without hindrance, so do you suspect he has the same genetic capabilities as you? No, the records show he's not one of the genetic people. So now I have a question for you, as a legendary figure in ancient martial. Do you think there's a secret disguise technique in the realm of ancient martial? The Blue Demon inquired. Blood Trace exhaled lightly. Ancient martial arts are profound and vast, and when developed to the extreme, anything legendary is possible. Although I don't possess this technique, I certainly wouldn't dare say that others can't. The Blue Demon gave a light smile. That's a pointless question then. Let's talk about the other shocking aspect. Actually, Bai Shui is also quite shocked. Bai Shui. Blood Trace was slightly startled. Bai Shui's planning skills are unparalleled in the world, so it should be the planning aspect that shocked him. Exactly, said the blue demon. This external party's entire planning scheme was cunning and profound, anticipating both the opponent's moves and their mentality, striking when they must save, taking into account what the enemy would consider. Once the first step was initiated, the subsequent moves were inescapable, leading to an inevitable success. Even Bai Shui has nothing but praise for this planning. You wouldn't believe it, but there's another person who's shocked as well. Who? Jing Lei. The moment the words Jing Lei were uttered, Blood Trace's face changed. The blue demon's complexion also seemed a bit off. Perhaps this was the charm of Jing Lei. As soon as his name was mentioned, it formed the greatest deterrence, making even the most nonchalant people lose color. Blood Trace let out a light breath. What exactly about Jing Lei is shocking? You better not tell me that his combat strength is enough to move Jing Lei. Even if his combat strength was 10 times stronger, he couldn't make Jing Lei bat an eye. To you and me, his combat strength is merely at a primary level. However, there is something that even Jing Lei cannot do that he has achieved. What? When he returned with the purple magic stone, the enemy initiated spirit mirror surveillance. The entire Dao Island activated at least 10 spirit mirrors, and the airport deployed at least 2 spirit mirrors. Theoretically, the purple magic stone cannot be hidden. He should have been caught at the airport, but he managed to return to Jiangcheng with the purple magic stone unnoticed by the spirit mirrors. Blood Trace's complexion changed dramatically. Spirit mirror surveillance. Are you certain? The information is accurate. Completely certain, the blue demon said. There is accurate intelligence. Our long-sought white-clothed king arrived at Zhezuo Island 10 minutes after their mission was completed, taking with him 10 spirit mirrors and launching the Black Dragon Society and Royal Research Institute to set an inescapable trap. White-clothed king. The blood-colored scar on Blood Trace's forehead suddenly shone brightly, turning into a glistening blood-red saber. Clearly, this name also stimulated him profoundly. Spirit mirrors, specifically made for surveilling otherworld energy, possess the ultimate monitoring capability for otherworld energy aura. For the spirit mirrors, the purple magic stone, a source of energy that cannot be locked, is like a bright candle in the dark of night, theoretically flawless. How exactly did he evade detection? Blood Trace's gaze slowly lowered. What do the research department people say? The research department has concluded that existing scientific methods cannot block the energy transmission of the purple magic stone. Therefore, the high echelons suspect. It's the work of that power. That power? Which one? Blood Trace took a quiet breath, offering an answer. Kun Kang. The blue demon replied. Yes, Qianlong is based on science, Kun Kang on mysticism. They are nominally the two great protectors of Daxia, but in reality, Kun Kang is a mishmash of both good and bad elements, abiding by their own rules, ignoring worldly laws, and their actions are becoming increasingly unorthodox. Kun Kang is a mysterious term, and a mysterious force. It possesses an incredibly ancient heritage, one not visible to the public. But its people walk the earth. Some walk the path of righteousness, others the path of wickedness. For instance, that white-clothed king mentioned earlier, some suspect he has roots in Kun Kang. Lin Ziasu, could he possibly be connected to Kun Kang roots? Blood Trace furrowed his brows slightly. The blue demon spoke. Judging by his growth trajectory, there are no traces of Kun Kang. However, his methods defy the realm of science, inevitably leading to further speculation. Is this the real reason the jury rejected his entry into the ranks of Qianlong? Qianlong is a place with strict rules, while Kun Kang is lawless. If someone from Kun Kang were to enter Qianlong, the consequences would be unpredictable. No one knows what their motives are. No one knows if they are aligned with good or evil. Thus, Qianlong and Kun Kang remaining independent of each other is the only logical choice. The blue demon pondered for a long time. I would actually prefer that to be the reason, but it might not necessarily be so. Have you noticed, in recent years, the alarmingly high casualty rate among our brothers carrying out missions abroad? Her implication was clear. The jury's refusal to accept Lin Ziasu into Qianlong might be due to another reason. There could be a mole within Qianlong, hindering the true potential talents from smoothly becoming the sharp swords of Qianlong. Blood Trace's demeanor became as still as water, and the conversation did not continue, falling into a deadly silence. Because this topic couldn't be delved into any deeper. For a Qianlong warrior to die on the battlefield or in a foreign country is their destined fate. There's nothing to complain about. But indeed, in recent years, the casualty rate has been unusually high. Many plans that were originally going smoothly encountered inexplicable problems at critical junctures, leading to heavy losses. They suspected there was a mole within, but who knew who the mole was? Without concrete evidence, one cannot analyze rashly or suspect without basis. Once turmoil starts within, Qianlong's combat capability would be greatly diminished. In the current complex situation, and with such a harsh external environment, should Qianlong fall into disarray, the consequences would be unthinkable. Jiangcheng's scorching summer heat. This place is the furnace of the central region, and in this season, it's truly unbearable. Thankfully, it's the modern society, an era daring enough to challenge even the heavens. Nothing is unchangeable. Inside the big shopping malls, it's very cool. Inside the movie theaters, it's very cool. Ding Ryushui took Lin Zaiasu and sat in the car, enjoying the cool air, entered shopping malls for the cool, went into tea houses for the breeze. After all, she declared that she would foot the bill for all expenses. The two conspired together, conning pocket money from her mother. While their motives can be deemed either commendable or not, the activities they indulged in were quite classy. Despite constantly claiming to be poor, her account balance clearly had 7 digits before the decimal point. When Lin Zaiasu pointed to her account and asked if she knew what poor meant, can you guess how she responded? She said, "I feel poor when my account balance drops below 8 digits. This is a matter of defining poverty and wealth. The skies for the poor and the rich are different, so are the standards for poverty and wealth, just worlds apart." Chapter 109. Chapter 109. Ding Lijung gets promoted. After playing for the whole day, she stood underneath the willows and got into the blue car, batting her eyes as she asked comrade Zio Lin, "The sun's about to go to sleep. It's time to go home. Are you ready to cheer up my mom?" Cheering up your mom is easy, right? You pay for the jewelry, then walk in the door with your arm around my shoulder. She'll be happy for sure. Of course, if you can't help smooching me on my face out of love, perhaps my dear mother-in-law will be even more delighted and your account will instantly be filled. Ding Ryushui's voice trailed off. Lin Zaiasu turned her head and caught sight of a pair of rolling eyes. The eyes closed slightly, accompanied by a sigh. "Comrade Little Sue, I must remind you, don't get too into the act. Our director taught us that actors who don't get into their roles are not good actors." The director can drop dead. With a press of the accelerator, the little car sped off into Ding's villa. At Ding's villa, the old gatekeeper smiled. 2 young maids smirked with significant looks. Entering the hall, Mrs. Ding came downstairs just in time to see a familiar scene. Her daughter arm in arm with a young man, appearing with a beaming smile. Mrs. Ding couldn't hold back her smile anymore. "Little Sue, you should keep an eye on your girlfriend. The day before yesterday, she told me that you got swept away by another woman, made it sound so true." "Auntie, didn't she say that woman was my cousin?" "No, she didn't, so she needs to be put in her place." Mrs. Ding said, "Come over here, it's cooler. Huanzi, bring over the fruits we bought today. Hui Zai, change the tea, get the Southern Sichuan silver flower needle." "Right away, ma'am." The whole hall buzzed into action. They brought fruits, brewed tea, adjusted the air conditioner temperature, and the humidity for fear this delicate son-in-law would wilt. No need for clarification, no need for explanations. As long as he walked in, Mrs. Ding's suspended heart for days could finally rest. In typical families, people wouldn't make such a fuss about a son-in-law. On the contrary, when a son-in-law visits, he's the one who would have to observe the mother-in-law's mood. But things were overturned in the Ding family. The root cause was, after all, that Ding Ryushui herself was quite overturning. Watching her grow up, becoming prettier by the day, her chest enlarging as the days passed, her age steadily approaching the 30 threshold, but she was stubbornly clueless. Her mother had asked her countless times, "Don't you want to find a boyfriend?" She had the gall to ask with her big Karzalan die eyes, "What do I need a boyfriend for?" "For what?" Her mother nearly choked to death because of her. If she continued to be hopelessly clueless, Mrs. Ding would stay disappointed without drastic fluctuations in mood. The problem was, a few days ago, the girl suddenly had an epiphany and directly brought a boyfriend home. That joy and surprise mixed within Mrs. Ding, who cared not for what kind of person he was, or whether his family was pathetically poor. As long as he was a normal man, that was fine. After getting to know him, the image of this son-in-law soared upwards in her heart, sunny appearance, honest and straightforward, good at talking and handling matters, and quite cultured, as her husband old Ding said. But the joy lasted only 2 days before her daughter came back to tell her little Sue had been led astray by a woman. How could Mrs. Ding not be furious? Now Lin here reappeared, with her daughter still clinging to him like a little bird. Mrs. Ding's happiness was like the waters of the Yangtze River. Ding Ryushui was also happy. Dad didn't come back. He hasn't gone to the company at all today. He's been in his study the whole day. Really? Ding Ryushui was a bit surprised. With his new promotion, shouldn't he be like new broom sweeps clean, skipping work? Old Ding comrade is quite the rebel. You don't bring up that promotion stuff around him. I mentioned it this morning and he decided not to go in, hasn't spoken to me all day. Lin Zaiasu looked back and forth. Uncle got a promotion. To what position? First vice president. He's got both prestige and leisure time. It's perfect. All my friends are congratulating me. Mrs. Ding said, Little Sue, why don't you go up and keep your uncle company? Give him some motivation. Okay. Lin Zaiasu headed upstairs, and Ding Ryushui wanted to follow, but her mother reached out and stopped her. Lin Zaiasu knocked lightly on the door of the study. No one inside responded. She gently pushed, and the door opened. Ding Lijong was sitting on the sofa. His glance shifted and settled on her, his eyes quite unfriendly. He was a bit irritated as it was fine for the servants to knock, but the head of the household ignoring you and then you just pushing the door open. Pretty rude, huh? Suddenly his expression changed. Little Sue. Uncle, Auntie said you're in a bad mood. She sent me to come talk you through it. Lin Zaiasu closed the study door and walked over to the sofa. Ding Lijong forced a smile. You listened to her. When did you get here? I spent the day playing with Ryushui and Jiangcheng. We just got back. Lin Zaiasu's gaze shifted to the piece of jade at the side of the study. The jade was still there, only now it was cracked open. Ding Lijong's gaze followed suit. Indeed, we found the surveillance device you mentioned inside. You're still keeping this piece of jade. Ding Lijong said, after this incident, I've become even more convinced that the words meditator are a cautionary reminder. Let's go up and talk. This piece of jade was a gift from Huang Chengwang. The jade marked a period of his friendship, as well as a history of betrayal. For people of their status, the monetary value of the jade was nothing to mention, but the meditator was a meaningful indicator. Especially after such a complex history, it reminded him even more that he needed to be contemplative in the face of events. The study, once the safest place in the entire villa. But now it seems not anymore. The rooftop, seemingly accessible from all sides, is an open space, but it's on the rooftop that he feels safer. This is perhaps the most evident change for Lin Zaiasu since entering the Ding household. The sunset spreads its golden hues across Nanu. The gentle breeze comes forth, having dissipated the heat of the day, and there's even a cold air machine on the side of the coffee table blowing a leisurely cool breeze. Indeed, this place is more comfortable than the enclosed study. Of course, the cost of comfort here is using an air conditioner like a fan on the open rooftop. Fortunately, no one cares about the electricity bill. The water in the teapot is kept at a constant temperature. Lin Zaiasu brews tea, pouring a cup for each of them. Handing a cup to Ding Lijong. Uncle, are you now the executive vice president of Changsheng Group? Ding Lijong's face twitches, and he seems reluctant to speak. To the average person, getting a promotion should be cause for joy, but uncle, you obviously appear downcast. Lin Zaiasu says, I understand what it feels like for a research scientist to leave the front line. Ding Lijong starts sipping his tea strategically. Who's now leading the research? Ding Lijong looks up slowly. It's not important anymore. Maybe it's time for someone who has been in research all their life to step down and let the young shoulder the burden and look at the scientific process from a different perspective. This is an attitude in science. The new waves of the Yangtze River push the old ones ahead. Each new generation replaces the old. It's the rule of life as well as science. Under normal conditions, it makes sense for Uncle to step down. But Uncle, do you really think this is a normal state of affairs? Ding Lijong's eyebrows slowly furrow. What do you mean? Lin Zaiasu says, you were suppressed earlier, and with our joint efforts, we found Huang Chengwang. Do you really think Huang Chengwang is the only one pulling the strings from behind the scenes? Ding Lijong shudders slightly. What do you know? I'm still quite unfamiliar with Changsheng Group, so there's not much I can know. But there's one thing I'm sure of. Huang Chengwang definitely isn't the biggest player behind the scenes. Why? Because there are signs that he was pushed into the spotlight as part of someone else's scheme. He is a sacrificial pawn in the game of protecting the king. Is this the conclusion of the provincial department? Ding Lijiang's voice trembles. It doesn't matter where the conclusion comes from. What matters is, without removing this mastermind, your crisis, uncle, is far from truly over. It's not just your personal crisis. Millions of Daxia people will suffer catastrophic consequences because of this mastermind. Ding Lijiang says, What do you plan to do? Plan thoroughly before acting. First, we need to plan, which is based on understanding the situation. Lin Ziasu says, So, today I'd like uncle to answer some of my questions. Okay, ask. Lin Ziasu and Ding Lijiang talked on the rooftop for 2 hours. For the first time, his vision truly penetrated the inner workings of Changsheng Group. The information was high-end, some of it was highly confidential, and the information was chaotic, but with the rapid integration of Lin Ziaosu's human Tao orchid heart, after nightfall, he put on the dragon eye. It seemed to use the night vision feature to view the scenery under the night sky, or perhaps to use the night vision to monitor whether anyone was peeping around. At least Ding Lijiang didn't care in the slightest. Of course, he couldn't imagine that these glasses were not just for night vision or sunglasses, but also a supercomputer connected to a vast system. 8 o'clock. A sumptuous dinner awaited them. Lin Ziaosu once again accompanied Ding Lijiang in finishing off a set room, a bottle of wine, and even pretended to enjoy eating stir-fried tomatoes with tomatoes. Mrs. Ding was delighted, her eyes narrowed into slits. My ungrateful daughter always says my cooking is so bad that not even a dog would eat it, but my son-in-law just loves it. I'll cook it every day from now on. If Lin Ziaosu knew that catering briefly to someone's tastes could lead to such serious consequences, he would probably regret getting too deep into character. Nighttime, Lin Ziaosu lay in the guest room of the luxurious villa. He scanned his surroundings. His sea of consciousness, silver fish, seemed to swim around the room with his gaze. With this scan, he could confirm that the room had no surveillance devices. He put on the dragon eye. In a moment of thought, dragon eye activated. In the room, a holographic projection appeared out of nowhere. Chang Yi stood cheekily on top of the bed with a glass in hand, still wearing a low-cut nightgown. This scene is definitely not visible to the average person. Only Lin Ziaosu and Xinyu have seen it. Where are you? Chang Yi looked around. Indeed, under the holographic projection, Lin Ziaosu's surroundings were also in her view. Do you need to ask, who did you sell me to? Lin Ziaosu says. Chang Yi lets out a chuckle. This girl is quite straightforward, even telling you this. Can we talk about something explosive? Go on. Chang Yi says. The trophy has been delivered to headquarters. Headquarters is extremely pleased, so pleased in fact that your reward was approved immediately. It should be in your account within 3 days, 1.5 million. Enough for you to get married, isn't it? Marry you. Let's not go with me. As long as you aren't afraid of dying and it's confirmed you indeed won't die, my door is always open for you to drop by, no big deal. But definitely not taking up your bride slot, Chang Yi says. Let's switch topics. Any gains from infiltrating the Ding's villa? Chapter 110. Chapter 110. Chang Yi's ordeal. In a word, the relationship between them is clearly defined. What about her? The situation is a bit special. The door had been visited by him, meaning that it can always be visited later, as long as one isn't afraid of death and is certain that death really isn't an issue. But she does not occupy the position of a wife. This is somewhat provocative under the current circumstances, but luckily she broached a more stimulating topic. Entering the Ding family, was there any gain? Under normal circumstances, how much can one gain from a simple house visit? But it must be said that Lin Ziaosu is different. Ding Lijiang is also different. Especially after Lin Ziaosu lifted the cloud of doom hanging over Ding Lijiang's head, this prospective son-in-law's status in his heart is on the rise. Given the concerns about his own safety, he did not hold back at all, and everything he spoke of was substantial. Amidst the data implicated by Dragon Eye, and through the connection of Lin Ziaosu's human Tao orchid heart, a lot of extraordinary information was revealed. Facing Chang Yi, he laid it all out. After Huang Chengweng's overnight escape, Changsheng Group underwent a major personnel adjustment at the cadre level. The biggest change involved 2 people. The first was Ding Lijiang, who took the role of first vice president. The first vice president holds an administrative position, ranking right after the president, and who is the current president? Lei Xiaojun, one of the three co-founders and the second largest shareholder. Chairman Li Chengsheng is the largest shareholder, followed by Lei Xiaojun, with Ding Lijong third. The three together hold 90% of Chengsheng Group shares. The remaining 10% are allocated to senior management in a restricted stock scheme, where an individual can hold at most just a fraction of 1%, which only entitles them to dividends and cannot be taken with them upon departure. And with all shareholders combined, their stakes are not comparable to any single one of the three. Previously, Ding Lijong had no administrative position, as he was only the technical director, a stance he insisted upon because he preferred scientific research over administration. The original first vice president was Li Chengsheng's eldest son, Li Heming. When such a scientific research defection incident occurred at Chengsheng Group, Li Chengsheng promoted Ding Lijong to first vice president, stepping over his own son to do so, which stirred up waves within the company. This decision also holds a mystery, but let's put that aside for now and focus on the second person, a character worth pondering over. This person is named Tong Yadong. He replaced Ding Lijong to become the technical director of Chengsheng Group. At this point, Lin Ziasu paused. Chang Yi's eyes faintly flickered. Tong Yadong, his profile is in Dragon Eye. He's 45 years old, a doctorate in bioengineering from Southeast University, and also holds a doctorate from the Department of Biology at Manston University in Lun Country. Beyond that, there's no background information, no notable achievements listed. What have you found? Lin Ziasu smiled softly. Your Dragon Eye clearance is higher than mine. Whatever you can access, I can access just as much. Chang Yi asked, then why do you say he's worth pondering over? Because of one point, he doesn't have a distinguished background nor prominent achievements. Yet why would such a person become the technical director of Chengsheng Group, a company reliant on technological revolution for its rise? Moreover, this technical director seems quite resistant to the guiding influence of the true technical expert, Ding Lijong. Chang Yi's eyes light up. So you suspect this person is purely a facade, that Chengsheng Group has an invisible line of technology? Yes, Lin Ziasu said. Think about it, who could be the real mastermind behind this invisible technological thread? Li Chengsheng. Chang Yi immediately gave this answer. And she also rationalized all the information Lin Ziasu had said. Ding Lijong is one of the founders of Chengsheng Group, one of the three major shareholders, a nationally recognized technical expert. By status, by influence, by experience and skill, he should be leading the scientific research work of Chengsheng Group. But what if Li Chengsheng fundamentally disagrees with his scientific research direction? What should be done? There are two ways, one hard, one soft. The hard way is to use some ironclad evidence to prove Ding Lijong's illegality, such as the alien species spider murder case earlier. Your research direction led to a serious safety accident, and you yourself cannot wash away the suspicion, so how can you lead the scientific research? But then, Lin Ziasu came to Jiangcheng and forcefully pulled Ding Lijong out of the whirlpool of illegality. If you're Li Chengsheng, what can you do? If the hard way doesn't work, the only option is to adopt another plan, the soft approach. Promote Ding Lijong. Have him take up the position of first vice president. And that stepping over his own son to do so. What can Ding Lijong say? What would the others in Chengsheng Group think? They would only praise Li Chengsheng for his integrity and would not suspect his ulterior motives. Li Chengsheng would thus be justified in replacing the scientific research leader with a puppet, and this puppet is Tong Yadong. This is Chang Yi's analysis. She is a member of Qianlong, and although she is not known for espionage, she is certainly not naive and sweet. Lin Ziasu faced this answer and exhaled softly. If this hidden hand really is Li Chengsheng, it's still a relatively ideal situation. Chang Yi was shocked. You have other suspects. Still related to this Tong Yadong, Lin Ziasu said. Tong Yadong returned after studying in Luoba continent, and Luoba is where the activities of Nine-Headed Snake are most rampant, and it's very likely to be Nine-Headed Snake's headquarters. This person has no accomplishments in scientific research, yet he assumes the role of technical director at Chengsheng Group. In your eyes, Tong Yadong is a puppet established by Li Chengsheng. But what about Li Chengsheng himself? Is it possible that he is also someone else's puppet? Chang Yi was deeply startled. If Chengsheng Group has already been hollowed out by Nine-Headed Snake, then the situation is indeed complex and precarious. You can't act recklessly. Changsheng Group is unlike any ordinary company. It itself is engaged in research on genetic biology. Its affiliated Changsheng Hospital is conducting genetic transformation surgeries almost daily. There are a great number of genetic people within the company. If it has already been controlled by the nine-headed snake, then it has practically become a super branch of the nine-headed snake. For such a super branch, the measures to be taken must be extremely cautious. It absolutely should not be something that a non-reserve member of Qianlong can handle. Even the senior members of Qianlong would find this place problematic. How about the super branch of the nine-headed snake? Lin Zaiasu said. This is Daxia's territory. Can they turn the world upside down on Daxia's land? We even dared to touch the nine-headed snake's Luoba branch. How could we be afraid of its branch in Daxia? Chang Yi said. But we're in a society ruled by law. Everything should follow the law. We can doubt anything, but doubt is not a reason for action. That's right, Daxia will always be the world of Daxia people. What Qianlong needs is just ironclad proof. Lin Zaiasu said. Come over here, let's find that ironclad proof together. I can't make it there, Chang Yi said. Lin Zaiasu's gaze sharpened. What? Is it the day of genetic rejection? Tomorrow, Chang Yi said. Promise me, take a break for a month, and after a month I will go with you to the ends of the earth. 1 month, that's a bit too long. Then let number 88 go. Okay, Lin Zaiasu agreed, his eyes shifting slightly. Is your rejection really without danger? Chang Yi's enchanting eyes lightly turned. What? Worried that I won't make it? Isn't it obvious? Do you think it's easy for me to find a wife? Chang Yi chuckled. No worries, the rejection happens once a year. I've turned it into a birthday gift. What could be dangerous? It's just that after this rejection, when I see you again, I will probably be unapproachable, and if you want to achieve anything, you might have to take a big risk. That's no problem. Detective work is all about taking risks. Get lost. Dragging professional habits into this, I've thought of how to deal with you. Next time you hit on me, I'll play along, make you drool but too scared to act. I'll tease you, little C. After a moment of teasing and affection, such sweetness is not to be shared with others. After closing Dragon Eye, the night was already deep and quiet. Chang Yi sent a message to number 88. Then she turned off the Dragon Eye, quietly gazed at the sky, took a deep breath filled with the fresh air of the ocean, and glanced at the moon in the sky. Eventually, she went towards a basement. Inside the basement, there was a girl, like a delicate daffodil in the silent night. But tonight, this daffodil was tearful. She is Zhenyu. What's wrong? Chang Yi gently patted her shoulder. Sister Chang Yi, you must come out alive. Tears were swirling in Zhenyu's eyes. Chang Yi smiled. Don't worry, I'll definitely come out alive. I'm still waiting to see you wreak havoc on a bunch of men. I'm telling you, causing trouble for men is nothing. Zhenyu raised her fist, firmly pressing it down. Not only can I do it, but so can you. Cheer up. Cheer up. Chang Yi removed her clothes, strictly speaking. This wasn't taking off clothes, it was skinning. Peeling off her biomimetic skin, her entire body was unspeakably beautiful and delicate. Then she stepped into the pool water below. The water in the pool was a dark green. As Chang Yi entered, the pool water roiled, like a drop of cold water splashed into a hot frying pan. Glass partitions around the pool rose, sealing off the spread of poisonous gas. Zhenyu slowly turned her head and opened a compartment behind her. Within the compartment were all of Chang Yi's belongings, her dragon eye, her jade token, her dragon armor, her dragon rope, her dragon scales, and 2 letters. One was for her, Zhenyu, and the other was for Lin Zaiasu. Holding the letter to herself, Zhenyu's tears flowed relentlessly. Chang Yi was different from other genetic people. She was an anomaly between heaven and earth. She was destined to be a fleeting beauty. The difference was whether she would die in this rejection or the next. Regardless of optimism, no one could envision a third occasion for her. Lin Zaiasu did not know any of this. He knew genetic rejection was the ghost gate for genetic people, but to him, it was merely a difficult and painful hurdle. Indeed, there were genetic people who died due to rejection, but that type of death was not a normal fate. It was merely life and death within the espionage wars. What does that mean? If, for example, 2 perpetually hostile individuals who normally could not kill each other, but one precisely grasps the other's day of rejection. On that day, when the other is weak and devoid of combat power, launching a fatal strike to kill him. Could that happen to Chang Yi? She was already in base 101. Her ordeal was protected by the strongest defenses. Who would lay a hand on her? No one targeting her meant it was just agony and nothing more. What's the fuss? He could rest easy and sleep. Starting tomorrow, he would face Changsheng Group. Chapter 111. Chapter 111. Lake Encounter Attack. Changsheng Group, a true behemoth. Li Changsheng, rising with the tides of the era, the business world is like a battlefield, and those who can forge a bloody path through it are no ordinary people. If he also has the nine-headed snake behind him, then that is even more terrifying. Moreover, Changsheng Group possesses a large number of genetic people. This large number is counted in the hundreds. Hundreds of genetic people, and these are just the ones known publicly. Secretly, who knows how many more there are. After a deep sleep, Lin Zaya-Asu woke up the next morning feeling her mind as clear and transparent as if it had been washed by water. The door was pushed open, a head peeked in from outside. Deng Ryushui. Seeing Lin Zaya-Asu already dressed, she clasped her hands behind her back and bounced out in a high schooler's manner, a brilliant smile on her face. What are we playing today? What do you think? It's a bit hot, boating on the lake is cooler, let's go boating. Okay. After breakfast, a white and blue floral speedboat sped out from the platform in front of the villa, heading deep into Nanhu. Ding Ryushui wore a floral dress, less some elegance and luxury, but more filled with youthful exuberance. Lin Zaya-Asu was dressed in a t-shirt and shorts, truly a sunny young man. Mrs. Ding, as usual, was smiling, and Ding Lijong, as usual, had a furrowed brow. Why are you furrowing your brows again? Come on, smooth them out. Mrs. Ding directly went up to him and tugged at her husband's face. Faced with such an eternally youthful wife, Ding Lijong felt quite helpless. In the middle of the lake, Ding Ryushui took off her shoes and playfully dipped her delicate feet into the water. Ah, I feel the danger is increasing. What? My mom seems to like you more and more. I don't even understand it. You're not even handsome. There's a cunning light flashing in your eyes. Why does my mom always say you're so sunny? Lin Zaya-Asu glanced at her sideways. What do you mean by a cunning light? That's the light of wisdom. Okay, you and your wisdom, Ding Ryushui said. Then, oh wise one, what should we do next? The better you play your part, the more my mom likes you, and the harder it gets for me. If I say you've been led away by another woman, my mom will definitely ask me to duel with that woman. I'm digging my own grave here. What do you mean? You're not planning to actually go through with it, are you? Ding Ryushui blinked. For real? Does that mean extra pay? Oh my god. Lin Zaya-Asu massaged her forehead, trying to change the subject. The sun started to blaze, the temperature began to rise, even though the lake breeze brushed against them in the speedboat. The breeze started to carry heat, unbearable for most people, especially pampered young ladies. But here lies her defiance. Even under the scorching sun, she faced it without cover. And if Lin Zaya-Asu were to connect all their interactions, he'd be amazed to find she hardly sweats. If this was due to ancient martial arts, it would belong to an advanced realm within, known as immune to cold and heat. She has never revealed any skills in ancient martial arts, at least not in any of her interactions with Lin Zaya-Asu. Lin Zaya-Asu, through Dragon Eye, had already checked all her information, ruling out the possibility of her being one of the genetic people, leaving only ancient martial arts as an explanation. Yet where does her skill come from? No trace at all. In her life trajectory, there are only two anomalies. Once during college, she took a year off, whereabouts unknown. Another time, after dropping out of Rui Li Royal Academy, she went to the Northwest to sketch, spent a year and a half. That year and a half, according to analysis, was quite wild, traversing through grasslands, climbing snow mountains, entering some rarely visited places. Suddenly, the speedboat beneath shook gently. Lin Zaya-Asu looked down like lightning. To his slight surprise, the underside of the speedboat was sliced by a submerged blade. The next moment, with a bang, a powerful force from under the water sent the speedboat soaring high. As it soared, the deck shattered into pieces, scattering across Nanhu from the air. Onshore pedestrians all looked terrified. Just as Lin Zaya-Asu and Ding Ryushui were about to fall into the water with the overturned speedboat. Suddenly, Lin Zaya-Asu felt the tumbling motion stop abruptly. With a bang, the speedboat smashed flat onto the water surface, stirring up waves over a meter high, with him and Ding Ryushui standing on the speedboat. Ding Ryushui's hair fluttering for the first time in an odd way. "Get to the shore," someone onshore shouted. Lin Zaiasu and Ding Ryushui stepped out, leveraging the bobbing of the speedboat to reach the shore. They turned back to stare at the water of Nanhu. The water churned and a figure emerged, a young man with a smug look on his face. "What are you doing?" Lin Zaiasu said sternly. "Just playing," the young man laughed. "Play? Do you know how dangerous this kind of play is? Had there been ordinary people on this boat, the recent turn of events might have led them to fall into the water, and they could have died. Of course I know if someone dies I'll pay compensation, but no one is dead and you're still nagging in front of me." The young man sprang up, his body wet, and with a splash landed in front of Lin Zaiasu, tilting his head, sizing Lin Zaiasu up. "Kid, are you asking for a beating?" Everyone on the shore changed their expressions. This is a genetic person. In modern society, genetic people are increasingly common. Most genetic people are still restrained. But out of every 100 people, there are all sorts of characters, some of whom used to dominate the streets, and once endowed with abilities, they become fearless and cause trouble everywhere. It seems that today's individual is one such person. When a young couple was enjoying the lake, he had to jump out and cause destruction. All he had to do was pay if someone died. How arrogant and overbearing is that? Lin Zaiasu heard Ding Ryushui's voice in his ear. "This guy is Du Qi, one of Li Songtao's men." Li Songtao, the third son of the chairman of the Changsheng group, Li Changsheng. "What kind of person is he?" "A classic spoiled and reckless second-generation rich kid. Relying on his father's money and power, he acts recklessly. Typical rich second generations might just bully guys and tyrannize over girls, but not this era's rich second generations. Their subordinates are genetic people, enabling them to amplify their misdeeds and become not only obnoxious but also dangerous." Given Ding Ryushui's status, she normally wouldn't care about anyone, but Li Songtao was an exception. Because both their fathers were in the same group, and Li family's father was her father's immediate boss. Ding Ryushui's voice was soft, but Du Qi still heard it, his gaze shifting to Ding Ryushui. "The girl here even knows who I am. Good, since you know. Save the chatter, kid, kneel down, kowtow to admit your mistake, and loan your girlfriend to me for a couple of days. I'll let you off for your transgression today." As soon as these words were spoken, everyone on the shore heard them clearly. Everyone was horrified. This genetic person, without reason, capsized their boat, nearly causing them to drown. Not only did he not apologize, but he even demanded the victims to kneel down and even extended his evil intentions towards the girlfriend. Is there any justice? Ding Ryushui's face suddenly darkened, showing true anger. Initially, she was considering Li Changsheng's face and didn't want to blow things out of proportion, but now they had insulted her to her face. Lin Zaiasu gently placed his hand on Ding Ryushui's shoulder. "This guy is just someone else's dog. Arguing with a dog is obviously beneath our dignity. Let's confront the real master directly. Li Songtao, I've seen you. Turn around." He motioned with his hand, putting on the dragon eye, and his gaze turned towards a tea house by the lake. At the tea house, next to a table on this side, a young man in a snow-white t-shirt slowly turned around. This person, around 27 or 28 years old, handsome, looked like a flourishing college student, but his style was surprisingly grand. His clothes, each piece a top luxury brand. Around his neck hung a piece of Jade pendant, the true imperial green. The gloves on his hands were bizarrely stylish, unmistakably from the top luxury brand Dafili. Mountain Goblin, their market price starts from tens of millions. Perhaps the most flashy were the 4 or 5 people in front of him, whose genetic people traits were quite obvious. These 5 genetic people put him at the center like a star among moons. In this era, absolutely the flashiest way to show off wealth. He is Li Songtao, the third young master of the Changsheng group. Even the powerful in Jiangcheng would not dare to provoke him. Li Songtao's gaze fell on Lin Zaiasu's face. "Kid, Du Qi wrecked your boat, just ask him for compensation. Don't point your finger indiscriminately." "Haha," Du Qi laughed loudly. "Look at his guts. If he dares fart, I will immediately rush to Fengcheng, kill his mother, and besides, I heard that he has started a detective agency there, and there are 2 chicks inside. I will for sure rape them and also make a video to cheer on my brothers." The few genetic people in the tea house all laughed. Old 7 is getting more and more out of line. Talk big, but Old 7 really can do it. Really? I don't believe it. Old 7, I'm waiting to see your video. Passers-by stared dumbfounded. This rich second generation, boosted by genetic people, is really lawless. Ding Ryushui initially moved out of real anger, but at this moment, something suddenly struck her mind. These people actually knew his background. They knew about his old mother at home, knew he had opened a detective agency, and even knew about the two women in the agency. They had investigated so thoroughly, indicating today's incident was planned. What's the goal? Inside a private room of the tea house, two women, one in purple clothes and one in white. The woman in white was none other than Liu Kang's son. The woman in purple was Li Changsheng's beloved daughter, Li Zi. Liu Kang's son looked towards Li Zi. Zi, are you trying to provoke him into killing? Li Zi smiled, of course. Provoked like this, will he really kill Du Qi under the broad daylight? He knows the law, of course, he wouldn't dare to do that, Li Zi said. But as long as Du Qi keeps provoking him today, tomorrow, and even follows him to Fengcheng, showing strong hostility to his mother, he would definitely not dare to take the risk. Not daring to take the risk, does he really have to kill Du Qi? Zi smiled lightly. People working as detectives are very confident. They firmly believe their means of killing cannot be traced. By then, it will be time for our Jiangcheng's first detective to match up against him. There's also a Jiangcheng first detective. Liu Kang's heart skipped a beat. She truly understood the brilliant plan of this purple-dress strategist. Chapter 112. Chapter 112. The Ruthless Counterkill. Du Qi made a bold move today. His arrogance knew no bounds. His words were filled with violations and indiscretion. Morally and logically speaking, these are not choices a normal person would make. But is he a normal person? He never was. His role on the chessboard is only one, destined to die. He wants to force Lin Zaiasu to strike and kill him. In the public eye, Lin Zaiasu wouldn't dare kill him. But sooner or later, he would force Lin Zaiasu to a point where he has no choice but to kill him, like when he follows Lin Zaiasu into Fengcheng, shows strong murderous intent towards his mother at his home, harasses two young girls in the detective agency, or even physically attacks. A person who deliberately incites murderous intent in others will eventually succeed, especially when that person is lawless and has no legal conscience. Most people only think about killing, but never act on it. But Lin Zaiasu is a detective, accustomed to dealing with criminals, develops a blind confidence, thinking others are foolish while only he is clever. He believes others leave traces when committing crimes, but he wouldn't if he were to commit the crime. He will kill Du Qi, and he will certainly succeed in killing Du Qi. Once done, Jiangcheng's first detective will take the case and promptly reveal Lin Zaiasu as the true criminal. That will be the day the law sanctions him. In a society ruled by law, arresting someone is a skill. Sacrificing a disposable pawn for a promising detective. Below the tea house, Lin Zaiasu stared at Li Songtao and suddenly smiled. Li Songtao, I know why you're targeting me because of two things. Li Songtao slightly frowned, two things. The first thing, you're avenging Liu Kang's son. Her father and three brothers were ruined by me, and even her mother was beaten by us until her face was swollen. As Liu Kang's lapdog, it's normal for you to step up for her, but it's a pity. You're just a third-rate scum and can't defend her. Li Songtao's expression instantly darkened. Lin Zaiasu said, the second thing, you're avenging your father. Your father Li Changsheng has unspeakable secrets in Changsheng Group. I aided the police earlier in heavily targeting Changsheng Group, which hurt him. Li Songtao's complexion turned ashen. What are you implying? How dare you slander my dad? What is Li Changsheng? Scoffed Lin Zaiasu. Looking for death, Li Songtao abruptly stood up furious. In the eyes of everyone at Changsheng Group, Li Changsheng is a god who would dare insult him. Yet today, in public, Lin Zaiasu insulted his father in such a contemptuous and outspoken manner. How could he tolerate it? The words looking for death fell. It was a clear signal. Du Qi suddenly sprang into action, slapping towards Lin Zaiasu's face. With his genetic people's prowess, if the strike landed, decapitating someone wouldn't be unusual. Knowing his unblemished record of countless strikes, this slap was also bound to land. Moreover, by slapping Lin Zaiasu, at least in his own view, he stood on moral high ground, because Lin Zaiasu insulted Li Changsheng. However, just as the slap was about to land, Lin Zaiasu swiftly dodged to the side. Du Qi slid past him. Boom! A fist firmly landed on Du Qi's back. Du Qi tumbled headfirst to the ground, forehead veins throbbing, screams echoing throughout the lakeside. But his body lay limply, seemingly unable to move an inch. People by the shore screamed and recoiled. At the tea house, a person beside Li Songtao's expression drastically changed, and he immediately left the tea house. This person was Li Songtao's top lackey, nicknamed Zhui Feng, likening his speed to wind and his temper equally unpredictable. In that private room, Li Zi's complexion also drastically changed, losing her initial composed demeanor. Zhui Feng reached Du Qi's side, dragging him up like a string of noodles, his expression turning utterly grave, spine shattered, nerves all severed. Li Songtao's expression changed. In that private room, Liu Kaiyingsun stood up, her expression also changing tumultuously. A shattered spine, a depressingly familiar term, because her father and 3 brothers were ruined by this man, all with the same symptoms, spine shattered. In this genetic era, if you truly wish to devastate a person, the methods aren't too varied. Injuries to arms or legs, even slicing tendons could be treated, but this man's method of destruction was definitive. Once the spine was destroyed, not only could the person not stand, but the true qi would continue downwards, pulverizing all nerves in the body, beyond the help of even the most skilled doctors or advanced technology. Lin Ziasu dared to kill someone in public like this. Yes, though it's not murder, inflicting such an injury, what is essentially the difference from murder? Bold of you to dare hurt someone to near death in public. Zhui Feng's gaze slowly rose, his eyes smoldering like embers in a storm. Lin Ziasu faintly smiled. Ever studied law, this is called legitimate self-defense. The lakeside suddenly quieted. The tea house too fell silent. Legitimate self-defense. Good heavens, could it be? This guy again hurt Li Songtao, insulted Li Changsheng. His true purpose was to provoke Du Qi into attacking him first. As long as Du Qi attacked him, he could cling to the principle of self-defense and strike Du Qi fatally. Initially, he seemed somewhat soft, facing Du Qi's arrogance without even a rebuttal. But now the result is out, and he is definitely not weak. He is resolute to the extreme. I won't argue with you verbally. I'll infuriate your master and make you make a mistake. Once you take that step, I'll strike you down without hesitation. And this strike from head to toe is irreparable. This is how Lin Ziasu deals with him. Li Zi guessed the first part. Lin Ziasu had a murderous intent towards Du Qi, because Du Qi crossed his bottom line, involving his mother and the 2 women from the detective agency. But Li Zi didn't guess the second part. Lin Ziasu wasn't relying on his detective skills to craft a meticulous murder plan, but rather, he incapacitated him publicly and legally. With this action, Li Songtao's clever plan of sacrificing a piece to escape completely fell through. Halfway through a whistle, a police car rushed over. The ambulance arrived. 3 policemen descended from the sidewalk and approached Lin Ziasu. This policeman was none other than Shen Yinchuan, the captain of Jiangcheng Criminal Investigation Team. Shen Yinchuan frowned. What happened here? Zhui Feng stood up. Officer, he maliciously injured someone seriously. Spine and nerves are ruined. His attack was ruthlessly unmatched. The 2 policemen's faces changed. Of course, they knew the severity of such injuries. Lin Ziasu raised his hand, handed his phone to Shen Yinchuan, and opened a video. Officer, see for yourself what happened. The phone recorded the recent scene. Lin Ziasu related it through Dragon Eye that shared the footage with the phone. Shen Yinchuan and the 2 policemen watched intently. After watching, he handed the phone to a police officer beside him. Copy this down. Lin Ziasu asked, Officer, does this count as self-defense? Shen Yinchuan nodded lightly. Of course it does. The crowd at the tea house all turned pale, flames of rage nearly bursting from Zhui Feng's eyes, but nobody dared to retort or make a move. Lin Ziasu asked, Can we go now? Shen Yinchuan responded, You'll have to come with me to give a statement first. All right. Let's roll, Shen Yinchuan gestured, leading Lin Ziasu onto the police car. From the police's arrival to their departure, it took just 5 or 6 minutes. Lin Ziasu left. Ding Ruishui was still there, slowly raising her head. Li Songtao, I just bought this speedboat for 460,000 yuan, and now your men have destroyed it. I give you 3 minutes to transfer the money to my account. Everyone present was shocked. Isn't it over yet? This woman was also so assertive. After ruining someone's people, she still demands compensation. Li Santa was seething with anger. Compensation. Do you understand who should compensate whom? Ding Ryushui asked. Does that mean no compensation? Crazy? Li Santa turned his head. Ding Ryushui gave him a cold look and turned to leave. Finally, the crowd dispersed, savoring the juicy drama of the morning. Why? The second generation of Changsheng Group had finally been dealt with. It was something so many people wanted to do, but didn't dare to. Compared to the crowd's relaxed enjoyment, Li Santa was utterly annoyed. In Jiangcheng, he always had his way. If someone dared to cross him, his men would handle it. If a problem arose, his cash prowess would easily solve it. And if the trouble was too big for money to solve, wouldn't his father, the supreme leader of Changsheng Group, take care of it? Who in the political or business world wouldn't comply? Therefore, he always had smooth sailing in Jiangcheng. Just the other day, a woman he liked, Liu Kaiyingsun from Fengcheng, shed a few tears in front of him, showing a bit of grievance. This second generation stood up right then, telling this darling, "Don't cry, I'll help you kill him." Thus today's drama unfolded. But after the play ended, not only did he gain nothing from the opponent, but he was also slapped loudly and publicly in Jiangcheng. How could he tolerate this? He must intensify his efforts. He must kill him. The play didn't go well, and feeling a bit embarrassed, Li Santa, with a sullen face along with Zhu Feng, got into his Maserati yellow flag. Maserati yellow flag sped down Nanhu Avenue. Li Santa leaned back in the rear seat, deep in thought. Suddenly, a strong wind blew inside the car, and the scorching hot air made Li Santa exclaim, "Heisey, are you crazy? It's so hot and you open the window." The driver, Heisey, didn't respond at all. No, there was a response. It was that the car suddenly sped up. Li Santa raised his hand, about to slap. Suddenly, he saw the car's rearview mirror. An unbelievable scene appeared in the mirror. Li Santa abruptly turned around, shocked to see someone next to him. A beautiful woman. Deng Ryushui. Chapter 113. Chapter 113. 460,000 left for you to buy a coffin. And Zhu Feng too sat next to Ding Ryushui, his eyes glazed as if in a trance. The driver Heisey up front, his head tilted to one side, legs outstretched, pressing down on the accelerator and speeding all the way. Li Santao's hair stood on end suddenly. Ding Ryushui. He actually knew Ding Ryushui, but at the tea house he chose not to recognize her. Ding Ryushui indifferently said, "You owe me 460,000 and you don't plan to compensate. No problem, I don't want it, keep it for your coffin." Li Santa shouted, I'll give 4.6 million, 46 million. His voice suddenly came to an abrupt stop as a finger touched his forehead, a stream of bizarre energy instantly penetrating his entire body, rendering all of him immobile, even unable to emit a sound. Too late, goodbye. As the voice dropped, Ding Ryushui's body moved horizontally and rose, the next moment, directly exiting the speeding car. Ahead was a sharp turn. Li Santa watched helplessly as the bend approached head-on, and the car showed no sign of slowing down. At this moment, he was truly awakened. Ding Ryushui, this nonconformist among the wealthy second generation of Jiangcheng, was genuinely extraordinary, with unfathomable abilities. He had squandered money like dirt all his life. To actually die over $10,000, where was the justice in that? Boom! The car crossed the road base and plunged headfirst into Nanu. At this moment, the tea house remained as tranquil as ever. In that private room, one dressed in white and one in purple still sat facing each other, sipping tea. Liu Kaiyingsun gently placed down her teacup, exhaling softly. Is this how the first round of confrontation ends, with us suffering a crushing defeat? A crushing defeat, Li Ziyi smiled lightly. You have so little faith in me. Would my plans devised by Li Ziyi fail so easily? Liu Kaiyingsun's eyes slowly met hers. He so brazenly crippled Du Qi in public, yet we can't pin anything on him. If this isn't failure, what is? A mysterious light flashed in Li Ziyi's eyes. The strategy to bind him legally has failed, but it's strange how things work in the world. There are tracks within the law and tracks outside of it. He exploited a legal loophole and must be feeling quite smug. If he knew that the trap I set was a plot within a plot, he might regret exploiting that loophole. A plot within a plot, tracks outside of the law. Z, what exactly are you talking about? Li Ziyi said, today's masterstroke isn't in the strategy itself, but in the person being used for it. Du Qi, as long as Du Qi is ruined by his hand, he is doomed. We need not concern ourselves whether the process of ruining is seamless, legal, and proper. Liu Kangsun's eyebrows furrowed tightly. Does Du Qi have a formidable background? Li Zi replied, he has an elder brother. If that man has any humanity left, it's probably reserved for this sole younger brother. Now that he has lost his brother as soon as he returns to the country, Lin Zaiasu, the entire Lin family, if a single sprout remains, consider him lucky. Liu Kangsun's heart pounded wildly. She finally understood Zi's strategy. So unthinkable, so superbly delicate. The most ingenious part was the pawn being used, Du Qi. This Du Qi, so easily incited, would surely follow her lead once stirred. Once the first step is taken, whatever Lin Zaiasu does next leads to checkmate. Killing Du Qi, the law would restrain him. Lin Zaiasu cunningly plotted, insidiously provoked, exploiting the loophole of self-defense, effectively killing Du Qi outside of the chessboard, a move everyone deemed brilliant. However, in Zi's chess game, this was the trigger for the plot within a plot. Because someone has stepped outside the track of the law. That person's revenge is 100 times more terrifying than legal sanctions. The entire scheme, starting with a naive and absurd opening, crude in its process, but ends with immaculate perfection, such is Zi's tactic, always hiding mysteries within the strategy. Suddenly, the phone in front of Z vibrated. She picked up the phone and her expression fiercely changed. What's wrong? Liu Kangsun watched her best friend anxiously, having never seen such an expression during their entire friendship. Something had completely exceeded her expectations and delivered the greatest shock. Big brother Li has had an accident. What? Liu Kainling's complexion changed. Although she didn't particularly like this suitor, he could give her what she wanted, but now he was in trouble. It can't be too serious, can it? It shouldn't be, theoretically. He's the third son of Changsheng Group, wealthy family, powerful people around, and numerous connections in the officialdom. Li Zi slowly stood up, her body trembling lightly. 10 minutes ago, his car drove into Nanhu. Liu Kangsun let out a sigh of relief. That's not a big deal, right? His driver is one of the genetic people, and he has a genetic master by his side. Li Zi's gaze slowly shifted to her. Listen carefully, 10 minutes ago they fell into Nanhu, and up until now no one has surfaced. Liu Kangsun's heart sank suddenly. She understood. 10 minutes ago, falling into Nanhu, under normal circumstances, 2 genetic people saving a second-generation rich kid should take no more than a minute, but no one has surfaced till now. 10 minutes, enough time to turn Li Songtao from a living person to a ghost. Go, Li Zi rushed out of the tea house. Liu Kangsun was even faster. After all, she was an ancient martial inheritor. Simultaneously, a car from Changsheng Group shot through the air. The Jiangcheng police responded immediately. Even He Jiang, the first detective of Jiangcheng Detective Agency, received a personal phone call from the chairman of the Changsheng Group. No matter how tumultuous the outside world was, the Criminal Investigation Team headquarters remained ever quiet and solemn. Lin Zaiasu followed Shen Yinchuan through the long corridor, stopping in front of an office. Shen Yinchuan said, "Mr. Lin, please go in, I'll wait outside." This was the treatment Lin Zaiasu received today when he was brought in. It wasn't for a statement. Instead, the captain of the Criminal Investigation Team personally led him to the office door, respectfully invited him to enter, and with the dignity of a captain, stood outside to guard the door for them. Lin Zaiasu was completely indifferent, nodded at Shen Yinchuan, pushed open the office door, and then closed it behind him. In front of the window, a familiar face was smiling. To tell the truth, the face of number 88 often looked as grim as a coffin plank. Such a smiling expression was indeed rare. Yes, the visitor was Qianlong, number 88. Chang Yi sent me a message yesterday, and I was thinking about how to arrange a meeting with you. I didn't expect someone else to call the police and use the opportunity to bring you here, said number 88. Your disagreement with the third son of Changsheng Group today, that wasn't part of your plan, was it? That's not true, that kid was just looking for trouble, said Lin Zaiasu. Take a seat, the tea is ready, number 88 gestured softly. Lin Zaiasu and he sat down by the window, both cradling their teacups. To you, number 88 said, raising his cup for number 65. I thought you'd toast to our friendship that despite our separate paths, it remains unparalleled. Lin Zaiasu took his first sip. That was indeed what I intended to say while toasting with the second cup of tea, said number 88. I'll say the words meant for the second cup first. Consider this toast from me to you. Lin Zaiasu poured more tea into both cups. After 2 cups of tea, number 88 felt a touch of emotion. Brother, your trip to Fusang has shaken many people. This brother came unexpectedly, and Lin Zaiasu suddenly felt a strange sensation. You're calling me brother. If you were a member of Qianlong, it might be inappropriate for us to call each other brothers, but you're not. Number 88 said, I think only this address can clearly convey to you the recognition I have, from the bottom of my heart, for what you've done. Brother doesn't signify blood ties. Brother doesn't represent identity. Brother simply means recognition. Lin Zaiasu smiled lightly. How much did Chang Yi tell you about this mission? She openly admitted that she doesn't know much about the mission either, so for this mission, you take the lead and I will assist you, number 88 replied. Me taking the lead, aren't you afraid I'll screw it up? Lin Zaiasu chuckled. Number 88 also laughed. That's okay. If it gets messed up, we'll just deduct $10,000 from you. Even after deducting 10,000, you'll still have 140,000 left, which is about enough to get married. Come on, who taught you that? Lin Zaiasu glared at him. Let's just joke, now back to the serious topic. Number 88 said, what's the plan for taking action? Tomorrow, we shall pay a visit to Li Changsheng together. Number 88's eyes flickered. Outline the plan of action. There is no plan of action. Number 88 was a bit shocked. Lin Zaiasu explained, the current situation with Changsheng Group is muddled, like a fog. Outsiders try 1,000 ways but still can't glimpse its true nature. But do you believe in the famous saying that opportunity arises in the midst of action? Number 88 brooded for a long while. If you were currently reserved, based solely on your reckless way of doing things, I would deem you unqualified. However, your planning has successfully completed an SS-level mission. So, no matter how foolish, I'm with you on this one. That's more like it, Lin Zaiasu smiled. Trusting our comrades is the fundamental assurance of mission completion. A toast to this mission. Their teacups touched lightly, and they each drained their cup. Suddenly, the door to the room was softly knocked. Come in, said number 88. Shen Yinchuan strode in, his expression somewhat odd. What's the matter? Reporting to the leader, there has just been a fatal incident with some mysteries, said Shen Yinchuan. Speak, ordered number 88. Just half an hour ago, Li Songtao's car plunged into Nanhu. The 3 people in the car all drowned. Number 88 was unfazed. For him, a single fatality was not enough to warrant concern. He was concerned with matters of life and death for millions, with the survival or downfall of Daxia country. But Lin Zaiasu was shaken, half an hour ago, about 10 minutes after we left the scene. Yes. Who was accompanying Li Songtao? Asked Lin Zaiasu. One named Zhui Feng and another named Haizi. Haizi was driving, and Zhui Feng sat next to Li Songtao. Lin Zaiasu's brow furrowed. Both of them are genetic people. Yes. Number 88 turned his gaze. This isn't a normal lake crash, this is murder. Chapter 114. Chapter 114, Detective Face to Face. I feel the same way, Shen Yinchuan said. With 2 genetic people nearby, no matter what kind of car accident it would be, it's inconceivable that all 3 would die, especially with the car falling into the water. What are genetic people? They are superhumans. Superhuman beings could possibly survive even if the car suddenly exploded, let alone falling into water. There's a buffer time when falling into the water. Trying to drown a genetic person is nearly impossible to achieve, not to mention 2 genetic people. With their abilities, let alone the small Nanhu, even if they were thrown from an airplane into the Taping Ocean, it would probably not be certain that they would drown. Let's go take a look, Lin Zaiasu said. This, Shen Yinchuan hesitated slightly. You just had a direct confrontation with Li Songtao, showing up at the scene now. What, are you, the head of the criminal investigation team, unable to prove that I wasn't at the scene of the crime? Of course I can prove it, but in his heart, the person Li Changsheng is most suspicious of is probably you. Lin Zaiasu smiled. Suspicion in his heart. I can manage heaven and earth, but I can't manage whether he suspects or not. Let's go. A car sped out of the criminal investigation team, racing towards the scene of the accident. Lin Zaiasu 88 Shen Yinchuan and Shen Yinchuan were both in plain clothes. Their car also had no police markings. As the car drove onto Nanhu Avenue, Lin Zaiasu looked out the window, reversing time. He saw Li Songtao's car. The car had no abnormalities, and the people sitting inside were the three individuals Shen Yinchuan had mentioned. The curve in the road was just ahead. At this moment, a crowd was gathered there, with the outer perimeter cordoned off with police tape. Lin Ziasu's heart suddenly jumped. He knew. He knew everything. Just 2 minutes before the car was about to reach the curve, a third person suddenly appeared inside the car. Deng Ryushui. Her trajectory was so unpredictable that even with the ability to reverse time, it still defied imagination. She seemed like a wandering soul from the air, appearing beside the road without any sign. A flick of her hand sent a car window flying towards Nanhu, and in a vehicle traveling at least 100 yards speed, she entered the cabin, lightly tapped her finger, and both Zhui Feng and Haizi lost consciousness. She had a conversation with Li Songtao. The content of the conversation, decoded by lip reading, was incredibly bland. I don't need the 460,000 yuan anymore. Keep it to buy yourself a coffin. Damn. Was the motive for her murder really just because her speedboat was destroyed? And the mysterious case that left everyone perplexed was decrypted by Lin Ziasu in an instant. Why did the car accident happen? Because the driver had become a living dead. Why couldn't Zhui Feng, a genetic master, save his master or even escape himself? Because he had also become a living dead. Why did they become living dead? Because an ancient martial cultivator lightly touched their foreheads with a finger. This touch left no trace on the surface, but easily took away 3 souls. The car stopped. The 3 of them got out of the car. Several policemen shifted their gazes over, warning the people outside the cordon with serious looks not to disturb the forensic examination inside when suddenly, one of the policemen's face slightly changed because he recognized. The person arriving was their boss, Shen Yinchuan. Shen Yinchuan shook his head slightly, signaling the police not to disclose his identity. Lin Ziasu stared at the 3 bodies on the scene and the flashy Maserati. There was nothing unusual about the car except for a missing piece of glass. The exposed parts of the bodies also showed no abnormalities. They were just devoid of the signs of life. There was an ambulance at the scene, which had already undergone several rounds of rescue attempts, but even immortals couldn't save those fated to die, and the paramedics had long since ceased their futile efforts. There were 4 people examining the bodies. Aside from 3 obvious forensic experts, there was another person, whose business registration information was found in Dragon Eye by Jiangcheng Detective Agency's He Jiang. This was the first detective of Jiangcheng that Ding Ryushui had talked about. Unexpected, really unexpected, that he, Feng Cheng's detective, would meet the first detective of Jiangcheng for the first time under such circumstances. All of these details Lin Ziasu took in with a glance, but his gaze was drawn to 2 people. One was about 50 years old, leaning against a sports car, his face pale as death. He was the lord of Changsheng Group, Li Changsheng. By his side, a woman was supporting him, a beauty dressed in purple, elegant and charming. The Qianlong information database had a record of her, and there were legends about her among the common folk. According to Qianlong records, she was Li Changsheng's beloved daughter Li Zi. According to folk legends, she was a highly intelligent person whom Li Changsheng would consult for major strategic decisions of Changsheng Group rather than his eldest son, Li Heming, who had long served as the executive vice president and was regarded as the crown prince of Changsheng. Regardless of how elegant she was, she could not be so today, for there had been a tragedy in her family. Her older brother had died. How could she, as a sister, retain her composure? There was another woman, standing a bit further away, appearing somewhat lost. She was also in Lin Ziasu's records. She was the woman from Beiyang village of Fengcheng County, Liu Kaiyingsun. Perhaps the feelings between Lin Ziasu and her were too complex, or perhaps it was a natural resonance between martial artists. Liu Kaiyingsun's gaze suddenly shifted and fell on Lin Ziasu. As soon as Liu Kaiyingsun saw Lin Ziasu, she locked onto him firmly. With this lock, her face revealed changing expressions like clouds and wind, and her eyes in a flash conveyed endless complexity. There was hatred, there was speculation. Regrettably, Lin Ziasu didn't look at her at all. His eyes were fixed on the detective from Jiangcheng. The techniques of He Jiang, Jiangcheng's detective, were a bit peculiar indeed. About 10 minutes later, He Jiang removed his gloves, took off his clothes, casually tossed them aside, and two beautiful women stepped forward in sync to gather these items. He Jiang approached Li Changsheng cleanly and refreshed. "What does Mr. He see?" asked Li Changsheng, his voice deep. "Murder was inevitable," He Jiang said. "If I am not mistaken, the murderer is an ancient martial inheritor, using techniques similar to acupoint striking. They instantly sealed the victim's ability to move, leading to the car plunging into Nanhu Lake and staging a drowning scene." "Goodness me!" Lin Ziasu almost cheered for him. The first detective of Jiangcheng really has some substance. The forensic scientists below exchanged glances. Originally, police investigations did not facilitate detectives entering the scene concurrently, but who would have thought the victim had such significant influence? Li Changsheng trusted the first detective, and with a careless glance from his superiors, the detective entered the scene as well. At this moment, even before the forensics team had completed their investigation, he made an authoritative conclusion. Was this slapping the forensic experts in the face? "An ancient martial inheritor," Li Chengsheng's face slightly twitched. "Are you sure? Genetic masters have strength in their bloodlines and their speed. To subdue someone, external injuries are bound to be left behind. But a bizarre force like this, without injuring the skin or bones, yet renders people immobile, can only be ancient martial," He Jiang declared. "Could Mr. He truly find this killer?" Li Chengsheng slowly lifted his head. "If you find them, I'll give you 30 million. Million? Gritting his teeth. He Jiang's eyelids also twitched slightly. "That, I can only do my best. Ancient martial inheritors are rare to begin with, and if one only wishes to hide, it's really difficult to detect any traces. Moreover, this person meticulously staged the scene, which clearly shows they also possess strong counter-investigative capabilities." 50 million, Li Chengsheng spat out 3 words. He Jiang's heartbeat accelerated again. Million? Who wouldn't want it? Just bagging the single job, he would truly be financially free. But he wasn't confident, truly not confident. He might be the only one on the scene who understood how bizarre the methods of the person who acted were. Such a person could easily kill anyone anywhere, including Li Songtao and even himself, Jiang Cheng's first detective. At that moment, Liu Kaiying's son, who was 5 meters away, came over and said a few words to Li Zi. Li Zi's gaze suddenly lifted, staring at Lin Ziasu 10 meters away. The next moment, 2 more pairs of eyes were fixed on Lin Ziasu. Li Chengsheng's gaze was incredibly sinister, while the eyes of Jiang Cheng's first detective seemed somewhat excited. He had also just found out. An ancient martial inheritor, a rare sight in the mortal world, was right in front of them. And this person, 10-odd minutes before Li Songtao's accident, had a confrontation with Li Songtao, leaving Li Songtao's close henchman with a shattered spine and ragged nerves under the pretext of legitimate defense. This array of information added too many stimulating elements to this detective. There was motive. There was capability. Able to create conditions to avoid legal restrictions, counterkilled that Du Qi at the scene, knowledgeable about the law. Being a detective himself, obviously he possessed a strong counter-detective awareness. Doesn't all this perfectly align with his profile of the murderer? Is the enticing 50 million from Boss Li genuinely out of reach? It seems not necessarily so. Li Chengsheng took a step towards the direction where Lin Ziasu was. This step surprised everyone. The most surprised was Ding Lijiang. Yes, he had come too. A major incident occurred in the family of the chairman of Changsheng Group. As a partner and the first vice president of Changsheng Group, it was reasonable for him to come. But upon just arriving, various analyses and discussions about the case poured into his ears, which unsettled him greatly. Because he knew, just 15 minutes before Li Songtao's death, his daughter and son-in-law had a fierce confrontation with Li Songtao. Furthermore, his son-in-law was a person whose actions were unfathomably unpredictable. Leaving others' thoughts aside, even his own mind wasn't so certain. Could it be that the son-in-law exercised some tactics? He is a detective, and detectives are best at solving others' cases. Correspondingly, in theory, he is also a crime expert. Now, this lad brazenly appeared at the murder scene. And he had already caught the attention of Li Chengsheng. What kind of person is Li Chengsheng? Ding Lijiang knew it best. He is someone adept at reading people, at laying traps, and even better at creating trouble for others. An average young person would already be timid before speaking in the face of his long-standing high position and naturally formed aura, and even the smart ones could make foolish mistakes. Li Chengsheng approached Lin Ziasu and stared at him. Lin Ziasu took off his glasses and stared back at him, his expression very calm, looking at this dominant figure of Jiangcheng, Li Chengsheng, as if he was looking at an ordinary lady selling pancakes on the street corner. Chapter 115. Chapter 115. Confronting Li Chengsheng. "You're Lin Ziasu from Fengcheng Detective Agency," Li Chengsheng said, his voice very steady. "Yes." With just one sentence, almost everyone's gaze was drawn to him, their eyes suddenly full of complex emotions. Everyone also knew what the name Lin Ziasu meant. "What are you doing here?" This was Li Chengsheng's question. "Just passing by, watching the excitement," Lin Ziasu replied. Li Chengsheng said coldly, "Is there another meaning to it? Coming to admire your masterpiece?" His words were low, without any fluctuation, but the implication was definitely confrontational, causing several police officers to squint their eyes. And Li Chengsheng himself, with a pair of fierce eyes, firmly locked onto Lin Ziasu, ready to catch any slight emotional change. Jiangcheng's first detective He Jiang was also squinting his eyes at Lin Ziasu, observing every move on his face. "Knock on the mountain to scare the tiger." This is called knocking on the mountain to scare the tiger. Sometimes, when there are no leads in a case, this tactic might shake out some unexpected results. Even though Li Chengsheng was not an expert in this field, having been seasoned in business and seen too many things, he could intuitively grasp some techniques in solving cases. Lin Ziasu said lightly, "My masterpiece, heh. I feel it looks more like your masterpiece." "What do you mean?" Li Chengsheng said. Those present were also puzzled. There's an old saying, pride invites disaster, and pride often stems from lack of parental discipline. Lin Ziasu said, "Chairman Li, would I be wrong to say that your son's misfortune today is your masterpiece?" At these words, the entire room was shocked. "What is this? A provocation? The man's son's corpse is still by the lake, and you dare to provoke, telling the world that his death was deserved. Is that looking for a beating?" Yes, Lin Ziasu indeed looked like he was asking for a beating at the moment, but who could really hit him? If you lay a hand on him, and he defends himself righteously again, do you think he could? Even facing Li Chengsheng, he remained defiant. Even if his words were inappropriate at a funeral, who provoked him first? You, without evidence, accuse him of coming to see your masterpiece, directly implying he is the murderer. Is he not entitled to fight back? The first confrontation. Sparks flew. The almighty leader of Chengsheng, Li Chengsheng, was so angered by Lin Ziasu that it twisted his gut, nearly causing him to explode. But Li Chengsheng was not a fool. He turned his gaze to the police captain behind him. "Captain Xing, this man had an altercation with my son before the incident, has a motive for the crime. He is an ancient martial inheritor fitting the profile of the crime, and his post-crime mockery fits the psychological profile. Shouldn't we detain him first?" Captain Xing slowly approached. Li Chengsheng's words moved everyone present. Even pure bystanders felt their internal scales tipping. Suddenly, a person appeared behind Lin Ziasu. "Chairman Li, I can understand your feelings, but there is a key element for the act of crime, the time of the crime. Lin Ziasu was brought to the criminal investigation team by me about 10 minutes before the incident, and he has been there ever since, only rushing over after hearing about Li Songtao's drowning." The deputy captain then noticed his higher-up, positioned himself and saluted, "Captain Shen." Well, that cleared the prime suspect. Li Chengsheng's gaze slowly moved away from Chief Shen's face. Even if it wasn't him personally, couldn't there be an accomplice? After all, he's the only one with the motive. This made everyone uncertain again. Lin Ziasu sighed lightly. Ordinarily, to respond to such unfounded talk would be a double insult to law and intelligence, but since Chairman Li mentioned motive, I think it is necessary to discuss the motive. If this case is a murder, it must be from vengeance. Everyone agrees, right? And the birth of hatred is usually from being wronged. Those who benefit do not harbor resentment. Reflecting on my engagement with Li Songtao, who benefited me, I called him a good-for-nothing, insulted his father, and even incapacitated his lackey on the spot. I took total advantage, so even if there was any resentment, it's been completely dissipated. Why would I have any reason to kill him afterward? These words convinced people with their philosophical insight, but many still wore expressions of sour displeasure. This was said in front of Li Chengsheng. "Aren't you afraid of provoking him?" The atmosphere became a bit odd. Lin Ziasu added, Chairman Li also knows that I'm a detective, fundamentally a solver of cases. Since I've stumbled upon this, I do have a direction for investigation. Would you like to hear it, Chairman Li? Emma? Including the police, everyone perked up. Was this Feng Cheng's detective turning tables, really planning to help solve the case? Regarding his extraordinary methods of solving cases, whether others in Jiangcheng knew was another matter, but at least two groups very familiar were here today. Changsheng Group internally and Jiangcheng Public Security System. Most present were from these two places. They held some trust in Lin Ziasu's detective skills. Little Su, give us your analysis. Even Shen Yinchuan was eager to hear. Lin Ziasu said, why not post online asking for clues, see if this third young Master Li did anything offensive in Jiangcheng, who he's antagonized, and what led to those conflicts. If the clues are meticulously gathered and detailed, theoretically it shouldn't be difficult to identify the real criminal. A reasonable suggestion was made. A very standard approach. But why did everyone's face seem a bit odd? Some wore expressions of sour displeasure, and some seemed fired up. Only because of one point, this rationalization suggestion is quite malicious. Li Changsheng felt a true inferno raging within him. You motherfucker, you even won't let the dead rest. Who doesn't know that my third son committed many misdeeds in Jiangcheng? So this mobilization of yours, is it to gather clues? It's to vilify my son even after his death. You want my Li family to be pointed at by thousands in Jiangcheng. You want the whole of Jiangcheng to say Li Songtao deserves more than death. Sir, a voice arose from the suffocating silence. It was Ding Lijiang. Ding Lijiang said, don't talk nonsense, let's go home. He gestured slightly with his hand. A car drove over. He and Lin Ziasu got into the car and headed home on the highway. Li Changsheng's icy gaze landed on this car. The people from the Changsheng group present all simultaneously felt their hearts skip a beat. Just now they only saw this surnamed Lin acting recklessly. Now they soberly realized something. This person was no ordinary person. He was Ding Lijiang's son-in-law. Li Changsheng with a grim face stepped onto a flying car. His daughter helped him and took a few steps, also entering the flying car. The door of the flying car silently closed, turning it into a sealed space. What does Ding Lijiang mean by this? Li Changsheng said solemnly. It must be to relieve his stress, Li Zi said. He's worried about the Changsheng group sanctioning that surnamed Lin, so he's taking on this pressure to spare us from targeting him and thus having to hold back. That's the only intent. Li Changsheng's gaze gradually turned icy cold. He's overestimating his capabilities. Let's go back to the company. Go, Dad, about third brother. The person is gone, what's the use of these formalities? Send to the crematorium, scatter the ashes, Li Changsheng said, back to the company. The flying car soared into the sky, leaving the scene. Below on the highway, Ding Lijiang's car was also speeding along. Lin Ziasu's gaze slowly turned towards Ding Lijiang. Uncle, stepping out now wasn't very wise. This feud with the Li family ultimately is because of my Ding family at this time. If I don't relieve your pressure, do I still deserve to be called your uncle? Ding Lijiang said. Aren't you afraid of directly facing Li Changsheng's wrath? What's there to fear? Modern society is a society ruled by law. As long as it wasn't you, we have nothing to fear. This is called, if you've done nothing wrong, you've got nothing to fear from ghosts knocking at your door at midnight. Not in Lin Ziasu's heart quietly unraveled. Today's events, with various twists and turns, also held endless intrigue. In this world, only he knew that the murder case was committed by Ding Ruishui. His farcical altercation with Li Changsheng was actually also an indirect way to divert the case, drawing everyone's attention to himself, making Ding Ruishui effectively invisible under the light. He certainly wasn't worried about getting burned, because he had solid evidence proving his innocence. Once his suspicion was cleared, Ding Ruishui would naturally also be excluded. This was a very masterful psychological misdirection. And now Ding Lijiang stepping forward to take on some of the pressure. That was unexpected. This also indirectly showed that old Ding, this comrade, truly was unaware of his daughter's situation. Otherwise, he absolutely would not dare to boldly say, if you've done nothing wrong, you've got nothing to fear from ghosts knocking at your door at midnight. Entering Ding's villa. Mrs. Ding and Ding Ruishui were both sitting in the living room. Both looked a bit nervous. Upon seeing Ding Lijiang and Lin Ziasu enter together, Mrs. Ding approached. Did that third kid from the Li family really die in a car accident drowned? Ding Lijong nodded slightly, his expression somber. Did he die normally or? Ding Lijong raised his hand to interrupt. Why analyze recklessly? That's the police's job. Anyway, Sar was being questioned at the criminal investigation team, and the evidence is solid, it's unrelated to him. Mrs. Ding breathed a sigh of relief. That's good, as long as it's unrelated to us, then it's good. Ding Ryushui sat on the sofa the entire time, her face undisturbed, occasionally opening her big eyes to look at one person and then another, completely harmless. Lin Zaiasu caught these nuances, his heart lightly stirred. This young girl, she's beyond words. But her parents, they moved him somewhat. Ding Lijong stepping forward to share the pressure, he felt somewhat moved. Mrs. Ding releasing her worries from the bottom of her heart, her phrase, as long as it's unrelated to us, also moved him. In her eyes, she truly considered him part of the family. The night that followed proceeded as usual. If there had to be something slightly unusual, it was that Ding Lijong felt it unusual. Before going to bed at night, he received a notification from his office. A shareholders' meeting was scheduled for 9 o'clock the next morning. What's wrong? Mrs. Ding asked him. There's a shareholders' meeting tomorrow. Ding Lijong's eyebrows were furrowed. How can old Li still be in the mood for meetings? Mrs. Ding also understood, full of suspicion. Yeah, his son just died, how can he be in the mood for a meeting? Could it be that his son, like Huang Chengwen, also had some issues within the company? Let it be, let's sleep.